round 25, let's get it. Let's get it for round 25, and we are live. Hey guys, how you going? So now BKR Sport. We're going live about 5 minutes early here because I'm just honestly excited. I'm excited for this weekend of footy. Maybe not necessarily too much for this game here today. This game here today could be a bit of a, how you going one, because, look, for me, neither of these teams are really playing for anything at the moment. For me, I've got the Rabbitohs avoiding the spoon, especially with their bye in 2 weeks' time. Or is it next week? Next week now. Round 26 is next week. So yeah, the Rabbitohs will get a bye next week. So I've got them avoiding the spoon, and the the Dragons, they pretty much ended their season last week with that loss to the Warriors. Even though there is a minuscule chance of them still making the 8, it's very, very minuscule at this point. It is absolutely today a must-win, but they also just need so much to go their way in regards to points differential swinging. And I do think the Roosters will end their hopes this week with a win over the Eels. That would officially, mathematically, take the Dragons out of the equation. So, look, all the Dragons can do is win, man. That's all they can do, and they've just got to hope for results to go their way as well, which I just don't think there's anywhere near enough that can be done there. I just don't think so. But they can't think like that. We can think like that as fans. They've just got to go out there and play their best footy, and realistically, they should be thinking they should be able to beat this Rabbitohs team today, who is in a bit of form, though. Let's not lie. The Rabbitohs are in a little bit of form. They were obviously able to beat the Titans a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, look, that was a poor game from both teams, but at the end of the day, they took the 2 points and effectively avoided the spoon for him, so they'll be very happy with that. And then even last week, the Rabbitohs did go and got a nice little win against the Parramatta Eels. Ooh, let me just put that phone on mute. There we go. And they got a win against the Eels. So, look, although the Dragons actually realistically have better form across the last month, the Rabbitohs are coming off 2 straight wins. So, look, they'll be very happy with that. But let's get into the games that we're going to be watching this round. We've got a belter of a day tomorrow. It is so exciting knowing about the footy that we're going to be watching tomorrow, because there is 2 absolutely massive games at play. Massive games at play. And then even on Saturday, even on Saturday, we have a huge game, a couple of games as well. So, guys, obviously hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into the games this round. So obviously, first up, we've got the Rabbitohs versus Dragons, who, like I said, I don't really think there's a great deal at play here, but bit of Thursday night footy, you're not going to be complaining. Tomorrow, wowee, we've got the 5th place Panthers, who would go into the top 4 with a win, up against the 1st place Raiders. I don't know if these guys have actually played before this year. I'm not too sure. They probably would have, but I'm not too sure. That's at Glen Willow Oval in Mudgee, which is a place I love, man. When I went there for a Titans game once, I absolutely loved it there. But that's a huge game. And then right after that, we've gone off an absolute belter of a Panthers-Raiders game straight into the Melbourne Storm versus the Bulldogs. And I know that for a fact that that's the first time these 2 teams have played this year, and that's 2nd versus 3rd. And I think if the Raiders lose that game to Panthers and the Storm win that game, the Storm would go to the top of the table, with their points differential. And the Bulldogs, obviously, look, I think that the minor premiership is locked up if the Bulldogs win that game, but the Bulldogs would equal themselves with the Storm with that. So that's 2 huge games tomorrow. And then we've got Manly versus Dolphins on Saturday. That's last chance season for both those teams. I really don't think that either of those teams are going to make the 8. I think the 8's pretty much set from here unless the Roosters have an absolute collapse and a meltdown. But that's still a huge game there with 2 teams in 9th and 10th position that absolutely need a win, especially the Dolphins, who are only 2 points away, do have a better points differential than the Roosters, but the Roosters have an easier matchup against the Eels this week. Then you've got the Titans-Warriors. Warriors obviously trying to fight to keep their top 4 spot alive, and they go up against the Titans, who always seem to beat them. The Titans, despite being in 17th, always seem to beat them. Titans obviously play to try and avoid the spoon right now. With a win there, they would actually jump out of the spoon, and the Knights would go into last position because it's only 1 point differential between the 2. And the Knights this week, they take on the Broncos, who you would expect not to be winning that game, the Knights. So a huge game there for the Titans, and obviously bogey team there of the Warriors. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes, because 4 weeks ago, the Titans did beat the Warriors. Then we had the Eels versus the Roosters. Eels technically still in the spoon race, not too much though. Roosters need to win. They just need to win out, really. They are in the 8, but the Dolphins are right on their heels, and that points differential is still in advantage of the Dolphins, despite the fact the Roosters beat them by 60 points the other week. So that is a huge game there for the Roosters. They must win that. And the Eels are a very tricky opponent. They can come out and they really can come to play. And then also, gee whiz, I'm choking on myself. But they also can, gee whiz, but they also can absolutely stink it up as well. So that's a 50-50 there. And then on Sunday, oh, yikes. Okay, so we're not looking forward to Sunday too much. Sunday isn't exactly the day that we're all looking forward to. It was like last Sunday, which was just an absolute Fizzler. It was a fizzler of a day, and this one looks like it could be the same. Knights versus the Broncos in the earlier game. Knights in 16th, trying to avoid the spoon. Broncos, obviously, they've probably made the 8 now after their win against the Dolphins last week. And that's a big game for them to try and get a home finals position, and technically could still get a top 4 position if things go their way. Very difficult for that because they would need the Panthers and Warriors to lose a couple games, but look, it's still a chance there. And the last game of the round is Tigers versus Cowboys. Jeez, the Cowboys had 23 or 24 errors in that game against the Newcastle Knights and still scored 38 points. That was an absolute fizzler of a game, that. But they still got the 2 points, so they'll take that home and they'll take that to the bank. But gee whiz, that was a rough one to watch, that game. That was a rough game to watch. And the Sharks do have the bye this week, which effectively guarantees them for the top 8. Because like I said to you, for the last couple of weeks, I think 32 points guarantees you there. Look, maybe you might get in with 30 points if you're maybe you might get in with 30 points in 8th position, but I still think you're going to need 32 points to get into the top 8. So yeah, look, that's the round we've got to play. So let's get into this game here today, which is the Rabbitohs versus the Dragons. Now, this is at a core stadium in Sydney. The South Sydney Rabbitohs are in 15th position. The Dragons are in 12th position. And it does say that the weather is fine, but it always says the weather is fine here on NRL.com. Now, the ins, Keon Kolom-Matangi and Lachlan Hubner, with the outs being a Bailey, Bentley Hartbeer and Liam LeBlanc. The fullback is Jai Gray, with the wingers Alex Johnson and Tyrone Munro. Centres of Isaiah Tass and Tallis Duncan. You go to the 5'8", which is Ashton Ward. The halfback is Jamie Humphreys, with the front row forwards being Sean Kepi and Keon Kolom-Matangi in the front row, with the number 9 being Saliva Havili. Back row of Jacob Host and the captain Jai Arrow. And the 13 is Lachlan Hubner. Interchange of Peter Mamuzelas, Brandon Smith, Cody Walker and Thomas Fletcher. The 18th man replacement being Shakai Mitchell, and the coach is Wayne Bennett. I said this to death this year. I think the Rabbitohs would have been a top 8 team with a fully strength team. Obviously, they're still without guys like Cameron Murray, Latrell Mitchell. The list goes on, man. Like, they have had a ridiculous amount of injuries this year, and you can't hide from that. I usually do like to stick away from allowing teams to have excuses of injuries because every team has it. But the Rabbitohs have had just a significant amount more than what a normal team would go through. What normal teams have gone through this year, it's like 100 games more or whatever than the second place, I think, Roosters, if I'm not mistaken. But the point is that I do think that with a full strength roster, this Rabbitohs team would have absolutely been not necessarily a team that would have won the comp, but a chance. I put them for 7th pre-season. I could have seen them probably between 5 to 8. I don't think they would have been top 4, but with how this season has shaped up, we easily could have seen that, especially with Wayne Bennett there at the helm as the coach. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can fire up tonight, though, because the Dragons, look, again, it's their season's done, but their season's not mathematically done, but their season is done, and they are coming off the back of 2 straight wins. So I guess you can't really kind of look too heavily here at the Rabbitohs and say there's no chance. But, like, surely they shouldn't be winning this game. The last 2 games were against bottom 4 opponents. The Dragons aren't too far away from them. It's only 3 spots between them. But realistically, this is a much more difficult and tricky opponent than what we've seen from the Titans, and also what we've seen there from the Eels. And then obviously their last loss coming back against the Broncos, 60-14 there at Suncorp Stadium. So yeah, look, I do think that the Rabbitohs will give this a good crack. I just don't know if they have what it takes to go and win 3 straight games, especially with the fact they've still got a lot of damn well injuries, especially with the fact that they've still got heaps of players out. It's going to be a big ask for them to go and do 3 straight with their current situation. Now, we got the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Their ins, Ben Murdoch-Masila, Blake Laurie, and Raymond Fatala-Mariner. The outs being Hame Sele, Hamish Stewart, and Jack DeBellin. The fullback is Clint Gutherson, who has been an incredible signing for them this year. He is the captain, and the wingers are Christian Tuipulotu and Corey Allen. Centres of Hayden Buchanan and Matthew Fino, with the 5'8", Lycan King Tagia, and halfback of Kyle Flanagan. You got the props of Emre Gula and David Clemmer, with the 14, he was originally 14, now he's starting. It is Jacob Little, with the back row being Luchan Leilua and Jacob Halangahu, and Damien Cook moves from the 9 into the 13 position. That's very interesting, especially considering Ben Murdoch-Masila was originally meant to be in the 13, now he's on the bench. You've also got Raymond Fatala-Mariner, who can play there. He's on the interchange alongside Locko Pacific Tonga, and also Blake Laurie, with the 18th man replacement being Tyrell Sloan. And the coach is Shane Flanagan. That's a big ballsy decision there. I don't mind it. Damien Cook into the 13, bit of a ball player there. He's going to make some tackles. Look, I don't mind that. And obviously, I've been an advocate for Jacob Little starting all season long. I was confused when they actually signed Damien Cook in the first place because I did think that, Jacob Little was a good enough player to be starting in that number 9. I thought that he was a belter there, and it took me a while to kind of come around to it. I think at the start, when he was first coming in, he was definitely very fresh and wasn't looking to my taste necessarily, but now he definitely is. He's absolutely killed it this year, and he killed it last year. So I'm really liking that Jacob Little is starting the number 9. Really interested to see how Cook goes there in that 13. At least it's not the centres, New South Wales. But look, this Dragons team should be fancying their chances today. They really should be coming into this game and expecting, maybe not the players, but the fans should be expecting of a win here. Just because the Rabbitohs realistically just shouldn't be able to get over the top of them, especially with, mathematically speaking, there is still a chance, provided the Roosters do lose this weekend to the Eels. So you need to be massive Parramatta fans when those teams play on Saturday. But yeah, they're coming off that loss to the Warriors 14-10, where, look, both teams weren't exactly spectacular, but the Warriors were just a little bit better. Dragons nearly stole at the end. They nearly kept their season alive at the end, but the Warriors held out there. A couple of weeks beforehand, they obviously beat the Sharks 20-14, beat the first place Raiders 18-12, but also the week beforehand lost the Cowboys 38-32, which is just not a good result there at all with the way the Cowboys are playing this season. I understand what happened last week, but trust me, that was a battle of the dribblers. When you're a fan of the Titans like me, you understand what dribblers look like, and that was a battle of the dribblers. It was very much so. So that was not a good result there to the Cowboys at all. But outside of that, I'll even include last week if you want to, because the Warriors are a top 4 team. There is 3 straight weeks there of relatively good form, especially the first 2 weeks. But yeah, look, I'm going to tip the Dragons here today. I think the Dragons should win. I actually might even lean with a 13 plus, despite the Rabbitohs have those last 2 games. I may even consider leaning that way, but I'm ultimately not 100% too sure. Look, I am going to go 13 plus on my gut feeling, but the Rabbitohs should be able to make a game of it with their defense of late. I think that it has been pretty solid. And last week against the Eels was actually quite nice. Now, in regards to the ladder, the Rabbitohs, they're in 15th position. They're on 20 points alongside the Parramatta Eels. They're the Squeals. Now, they do still have the worst points differential in the comp here, the Rabbitohs at minus 191, whilst the Eels are at minus 156. But like I said, next week, the Rabbitohs have the bye, so they're going to get 2 more points. They'll be on 22. And provided the Titans and the Knights don't completely just win out from here, the Rabbitohs will have avoided the spoon, right? And you're not going to expect 17th and 16th to win all 3 remaining games, especially when they've been as poor as these two teams this year, especially what we saw from the Knights last week, and don't get me wrong, the Titans as well. But the point is that the Rabbitohs, with a win here, would go into 22 points, which would jump the Cowboys as well, and it would go equal with the Dragons. But the Dragons are on minus 54, Rabbitohs minus 191. You would have to see a massive point swing. You'd have to see like a 70 point. I don't even know if that's enough. Yeah, probably about 70 odd points the Rabbitohs would have to win by to go above the Dragons, so that's just not going to be happening. But with a win, they would go equal with the Dragons and then just have to rely on the Cowboys losing to the Tigers and the Eels losing to the Roosters for the Rabbitohs to stay out of the bottom 4 for the weekend. But if they lose this game, then if the Knights were to win against the Broncos, which is doubtful, but if they were to win against the Broncos, the Rabbitohs for the time being would drop into 16th position, and that's as low as they can go because the Titans are 4 points below them. However, obviously, next week, again, that bye, and you just wouldn't expect the Knights to hold out. So overall, this weekend, there's a potential of dropping to 16th. I'd say they stay in 15th with a loss. Now, the Dragons, they're in 12th position on 22 points. They are by themselves on 22 points. If they were to lose this game, then they could get jumped by the Cowboys if they beat the Tigers, and the Eels' points differential's not good enough, but the Cowboys would go above them, so Dragons would go to 13th, and then, yeah, like I said, it would take a 70-point swing for the Rabbitohs to go above them, so the lowest that the Dragons are going to be facing is 13th position, only 1 spot lower, but if they were to go and win this game, they would go equal with the West Tigers and also the Manly Seagulls on 24 points. The Dragons' points differential of minus 54 is better than the Tigers of minus 107, not as good as Manly's minus 24, though. I love how I said not as good, because it's not good what Manly's points differential is, but they would need to win by 30 points or more to go above Manly today, but Manly played the Dolphins and the Tigers played the Cowboys, so look, if the Dragons win, they want the Cowboys to win. If the Dragons lose, they want the Tigers to win in that matchup on Sunday. So, yeah, look, like I said, there's really not much to play for here for both these teams. Mathematically speaking, sure, the Dragons are playing for something, but they're not exactly the most exciting team. They are very up and down, very inconsistent. I do think they've got a bit of a better team out there today that should be getting it, but I just really hope to see Alex Johnson score a couple of tries because we are getting to that stage where he's maybe not going to break it this year. He needs, I think, 3 tries to equal Kenny Irvine. and 4 tries to go over the top of him, and there is also a bye next week. So there's only 2 games for him to do it. Look, could he do it today? Dragons definitely could give it up, that's for sure. But it would be so funny if they did it against the Roosters. It would just be hilarious. It would be massive jokes if they went and did it against the Roosters there. So, all right, let's get into the game here today. Let's get into the chat. Let's see what you are saying. Obviously, guys, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new around here. And I did drop the link in the chat. So we were I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago. We were last week talking about Big Brother, so I actually went and applied. So there's the audition tape they chucked up on their YouTube. So if you want to go check it out, you can go check it out. It's so cringe, dude. It is so cringe. But I thought I might. You said Jay goes, oh, you need help. I do need help, mate. But I got a beautiful view right now of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh. I got the Bidexco Tower right in front of me. It's beautiful, mate. We are flying, Jay. Yeah, we're absolutely flying. So yeah, you're right. I do need help, but yeah, go check it out. Sean James says, good afternoon, mate. Get around you, Sean. Elisa Adventure Vlog says, other years, St. George Illawarra Dragons needs dangerous players for defence, not weak. BKR Sports. Sure, St. George Illawarra Dragons need dangerous, fast players, BKR Sports, mate, for the future. Yeah, sure. But they do have some good dangerous players as well. It's just that I think that their halves are the issue. I think we all know that the halves are realistically the issue here. Like, Carl Flanagan can have a good game sometimes, but also consistently, maybe not getting to the peak that you would like him to get as a half there. So I'm not going to sit here and hate on him like he's seen, but I will criticise and say that I think that the halves of the Dragons are an issue, similar to what of the Knights, but I just think that the Dragons have a better team around to get more results than the Knights do. But ultimately, it is still their halves, because look, their forwards are actually pretty good. They've got guys like Luciano Lua who can get a good amount of meters. David Clemmer has been great in the past, maybe not so much now, but he still does his job. Emre Gula, he's a worker. Jacob Little solid. I still think, yeah, look, they need probably a little more X factor, that's for sure. I would probably agree with that, but they can still score tries and they can have some really good games. They had a good game against the Sharks the other week. Yes, the Sharks played into their hands quite well and allowed. They played pretty poorly, the Sharks, but at the end of the day, the Dragons did what they could do. And, yeah, look, there's a lot that needs to happen at the Dragons, but I do think that ultimately they need to look into their halves more, which I'm sure they are doing. Get around here, Nikhil. Stock checking grammar helps. Patch says, where in the world are you now? I'm in Ho Chi Minh, mate. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Grace's thoughts on Fafita and Fasil Malawi leaving the Titans, mate? Well, Tino's not going, unless you're referring to Isaac. Isaac was always probably going to be happening, but Tino, I don't believe is going, especially considering that he's actually getting married now as well, if you would have seen on Instagram. He loves the Gold Coast, so I don't believe that he goes, but in the same sense, people are still going to talk regardless. Like, everyone's been saying he's going for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and I keep saying, like, I don't think he will. I've had personal conversations with him where I've never gotten the inkling and the thought process that he's leaving. So people are going to have their thoughts, and look, he may leave. At the end of the day, it's his decision, and I think that I wouldn't resent that, because I do think that he deserves better than what we can offer him right now. But the club just needs to show him direction. They just need to show him direction. It's that simple. The fans need to see direction. The players need to see direction. Tino needs to see direction. Everyone needs to see direction. We don't have direction right now, so I wouldn't necessarily blame Tino if he was to leave for greener pastures. Obviously, grass isn't always green on the other side. He's got contract clauses where he can make a bunch more money on the Gold Coast, and I know that he loves the Gold Coast, so I don't believe that Tino will go. And it's that your comment kind of alludes that he is going, and I disagree. But with Dave Fafita, I do think that Dave's going. I think it's time. I think it's time. It unfortunately hasn't necessarily worked out in the Gold Coast. He was looking good in his early tenure, and then unfortunately just a lot of media surrounding him, and backflipping on the Roosters, and he just hasn't necessarily got it going so much on the Gold Coast. And I want to see the best for him, man. And I do think there's probably best time for Dave to head off, and then we can spread the cap elsewhere. I love Dave. I think he's a good bloke. I do think that I would have liked to have seen a lot better from him on the Gold Coast, but unfortunately sometimes it just doesn't work out. And while he's been here, I've loved him. I definitely don't necessarily disagree with us being able to spend the money elsewhere, and Dave goes somewhere where he can shine as well. Brenton says, bro, is that a legit entry for Big Brother? That's on their story, bro. That's on their thing. Apparently it was put on TikTok too, which was, I was like, oh no, here we go. What are people going to say? What are people going to say? But no, I love it, man. If we did it, we did it. It'd be a good laugh, it'd be good fun. But if not, We still crack on here, but I thought we spoke about it. We spoke about it last week, and I was like, yeah, get into it. Get into it. Hey, Simon says, do we think Alex Johnson will pass Ken Owen's record tonight, or will we have to wait another week? Well, next week is a bye, so for the Rabbitohs, so I doubt next week. That'd take a miracle for him to get it next week. He would need to get 4 tries to break it tonight. Don't think so. 3 tries to tie. I believe so. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I believe it's 3 tries to tie and 4 tries to actually break the record. So I don't think he'd be getting 4. But it's not like the Dragons' defense is anything out of this world. You know, the Dragons have given up 508 points this year. Obviously worse than all the top 8 teams. Worse off than the Dolphins. Worse off than Manly. It is worse off than the Knights. So they're probably situated around 12th, 13th off the top of my head there for defense. So it's not exactly like that's out of this world. Whilst the Rabbitohs, their attack has been very weltering this year. They're 381, which is the fourth worst attack in the competition. So a lot. Actually, no. Sorry. Yeah, it's the 3rd worst. Hold on. Rabbitohs are 381. Knights are 300 on the dot. Eels are 380. Is the 3rd worst attack in the comp. So I wouldn't expect a great deal of attacking foray from the Rabbitohs, especially with all their issues this year with injuries. But look, I hope so, mate. I would love to see it this year, but we might have to wait another year. We may potentially have to wait another year. Olivia Reed with the $8 donation. Get around Olivia. This is another dono. Rocking and ready for another week. We need the Raiders and Titans to win this week for us to get into the top 4. I'm going for the Dragons tonight. What is this game? Going with the Dragons tonight? Sure. I guess you may as well just go for whoever you want, really, because this game has nothing to do with the Broncos. But yeah, you do need the Titans to win over the Warriors, which isn't out of this world considering the bogey record kind of thing. But it's also still a difficult task. Whilst the Panthers, like this, it's actually a reasonable road here for the Broncos to get into the top 4 this week. It's a reasonable road. It's not out of the equation. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think that the Broncos don't get too crazy based off that win against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are sliding massively. And the Knights are a bit of a tricky one, despite the fact they were just awful last week. Like, they were just awful. That was one of the worst performances I've seen since probably the Knights of the late mid-2010s, right, when they were winning spoons frequently. So, the Knights were just awful. So if they play like that, Broncos should win by a ton. But they've still got injuries. Injuries and also problems themselves. They're the Bronx. Well, thank you very much for the dono. Sean James says F and Big Brother. We're talking about it on Sunday. Sean James says, I'm not jinxing anyone this week. Last week I was shit at picking a win. Last week was last week difficult? Was last week difficult? I can't remember really. It was actually a little bit more of a forget-all round than we were thinking. This week should be really good, especially with tomorrow's games. Tomorrow's games are so difficult to predict. Gray says the script writers have it for AJ to get 1 tonight to be on 210. By next week, then to get a hat-trick in round 27 versus the Roosters, and final try to break the record and win the game. That would be insane. That would be insane for that to happen. Nate J says, g'day Blaze, mate. He's hoping for a Dragons win. I put a bet on for Saints to get to 28 points, and I'm still a chance if we win every game from here on out. Yeah, well, Nath, you keep believing. Don't stop believing. But it's not happening. Yeah, but it's not happening. But don't stop believing. Don't let me tell you that it's not happening, but it's not happening. But don't let me tell you it's not happening. But I don't think it's going to happen, Nath. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen for the top 8 this year. Last week was your crunch, unfortunately. And Nikhil says, might see 2 tries from AJ. Well, if we see 2 tries from AJ tonight, then it'd be 2 away from it, and then he plays the Roosters in 2 weeks' time. Casey says, good to see the Titans are still on top. Yeah, no, they've been flying, mate. They've been absolutely flying, Casey. Come on, mate. Tony says, I need you to make me a promise. If the Dogs beat the Storm, you are not to put them as fraud alert for the rest of the season. It's only fair as we secure top 4. I don't do shit, Tony. You go and win that game. And then you go for fraud alert, but then who do you play the week after? Then you got the Panthers the week after, and then round 27 of the Sharks. You lose to damn well Sharks with how we've had to watch them. We've had to endure the Sharks this season. It's an endurance. It is an endurance for the Cronulla Sharks this season. It's been just absolutely diabolical. You got to lose that game, and I'll make you a promise. I'll make you a damn well promise that I'll put them on fraud alert with the loss of the Sharks. I'll put you a promise there. But if you go and win tomorrow, that'd be still quite huge. We'll still go huge. Brenton says, Dargans are the team that's lost the closest games this season, this year. 8 of them under 6 points. Yeah, they've been close in a lot of games. Yeah, for sure. They've just announced Davis leaving. Did they really? Did they go and announce it just now on Insta, did they? Where? Let me have a look. I'm not allowed to follow the Titans, so they removed my follow, so I got to click onto it. Where have they announced it? Oh, they announced it to members, have they? I'm not too sure. Anyway, the Dragons are out the field here, and so are the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Let us know your predictions in the chat. Obviously, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We're going to be here for every game this weekend. Fire on up, son. Fire on up. Dasmate says, in other news, just say the Bronchokes train in Maitland today. I'm pretty sure I put fear into Payne Haas' eyes. He might have been thinking, lucky this guy didn't make the league. Yeah, look, I don't know if he was thinking that, Daz, but he might have been thinking that. Maybe, just without the maybe part. And the probably not part would probably be what I'd be leaning towards. But maybe, Daz. Maybe, just without the maybe. Brenton says, hope you get the call up for it. That'd be cracker. We'll see, mate, we'll see. Doesn't hurt to shut your name down. Out of Lim says, who do you think ends up in that 4th spot in the ladder? I think the Warriors... there's still a good chance the Sharks get it, especially with their bye this week. With the bye right now, they're actually in the top 4 currently. When you refresh the ladder, the Sharks actually are in the top 4. So, yeah, there's that. But the Dragons will kick it off here, and the Rabbitohs will grab the ball through Jamie Humphries, and he'll bring it back to the 20 here on first tackle. So, yeah, once they update the ladder here, the... Wait, have they... Or were they on 28? Were they on 28, not 30? No, they are on 30. No, they haven't given the Sharks their bye yet. But once the Sharks get their bye, they're actually in the top 4 with their points differential of plus 62, plus 67 compared to the Warriors on plus 12. So I could genuinely see the Sharkies being that top 4 team. I really could. But last week really does hurt. Wait, last week they got over the Titans. That's right. It's so hard, man. Like, it's probably still going to be the Wires as long as they can win this week. As long as they can win this week. But because the Panthers have too hard of a run, man. They have to ultimately beat both the Bulldogs and also... Was it the Bulldogs? Yeah, the Bulldogs and the Raiders over the next 2 weeks. Raiders this week and Bulldogs next week for them to even have a chance, because it's just really difficult for them with this 3-game slant, and they also obviously played the Storm last week. So second tackle here for the Dragons, the 25. If they win 2 of those 3 games, like I said for ages, I've got them being a genuine competitor. They win. I was going to say if they won all 3, they'd be probably winning the comp this year. If they win only 1, you know, they're a little bit of maybe a pretender. But if they don't win any of them, then that will tell you a lot about where the Panthers have been at. 4 tackle over the Dragons. They get this ball now to the 40, the 45, and it'll be 5th tackle here. Branson, what was it paying? I'm not too sure what you're saying. Tyler says, just want anyone but the Panthers to finish 4th. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it, man. It's a real tough run for them these last 3 games. And then I think they play the Dragons in round 27 as well, which is a tricky opponent. First tackle now for the Rabbitohs at the 25. But it says, as I want to see Alex break the record for highest scorer, Rabbits to win. Yeah, I think that's the only reason why most people... I know it's a Thursday night game anyway, but I think that's the most popular reason as to why people would actually tune into this, even if they didn't care, because both these teams aren't really playing for jack shit at the moment. Their seasons are ultimately locked up. 1, Rabbitohs avoiding the spoon, and 2, Dragons not making the 8. So they're kind of in purgatory at this point, in my personal opinion. So I don't think many people will care too much about the outcome of this. They just want to see Alex Johnson score a couple of tries. And if you look at the stadium attendance right now at Core Stadium, that will prove that. So Rabbitohs here will get this ball to the 35, and it'll be 5th tackle on the Dragon side of the field. Pjanovic says golden point. I think the Dragons should have way too much in them. I really think the Dragons should put him to the sword, but they could be completely devastated based off of... I think they could be completely devastated based off of... Oh, knock on there from the Rabbitohs, so it's going to be Dragons ball here at the 10. They could be completely devastated by losing that game last week to the Wires, which really puts them out. Mike says, what would you know about rugby league, Chi Chi? Stop talking. Don't know what Chi Chi is, but sure, that's me. I'm apparently Chi Chi. Is that like your cute little nickname for me? If so, I like it. But what would I know about rugby league? Not much, mate. Not much. No, I'm just really looking forward to a couple of really good fastballs here tonight into the zone, and hopefully no strikeouts. And then maybe if we see a corner kick, that'd be nice as well, especially from the Fijian Drua. If the Fijian Drua are on tonight, then I'm thinking the Yankees probably win. But it'll really come down to how Michael Jordan plays. So 4 tackle for the Dragons. They're going to beat the 40. Dasma says there has to be like 1,000 people max this game. It does not look like there is a great deal of people. It does not look like there is a fantastic amount of crowd at this game, but you can understand it. 5th tackle here for the Dragons, and they're going to be at the halfway point. And Carl Flanagan now, he'll put boot to ball, and they'll go to the 20 for Alex Johnson to grab. It's a racial slur. Well, I'm Australian, so I'm not even too sure. Okay, well, fair enough. There you go. Nasus Dragons wearing the Old Country Origin socks tonight. Old Country Origin socks? Oh, yeah, true. They do look like that. They do. Yeah, a couple of touchdowns would be nice too, Nath. You know, hopefully Odell Beckham's out there for a couple of good grabs, even though he literally made his career off that one catch, to be fair. I forgot the head-high delivery, mate. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes you're going to mix it up. Fit tackle out to 45 for the Rabbitohs on the Dragon side of the field. Olivia says, I was just about to ask about the socks. Is that literally the reason for it? Is that the reason for it, by the way, in regards to the socks? Prior to the league, FYI, I repeat, prior to the league was 0 loyal fans. It is disappointing. It is also a Thursday night, though. And Thursday night is difficult at a core. I've been to a core many times. It's not exactly the easiest stadium to get out to, especially when a lot of Rabbitohs fans are from closer to Allianz area. That's why they really want to get there. But not that last week's attendance was through the roof either. Third tackle now for the Dragons at the 38. Sean James, that's right. Tyson says, feels strange not seeing the Storm after 4 Thursday games. Yeah, they've had a bunch of Thursday games, dude. A bunch of Thursday games. And now instead of the Storm playing in a belter, we get Rabbitohs Dragons. And fit tackle here for the Dragons. They will be at the 40. Dragons wearing the Broncos socks. Yeah, well, they do look like the Brisbane Broncos. Desmond says, who is this child Souths have? Are you talking about Ashton Ward? We do get this going all the time about Ashton Ward in the 5'8". He does look quite young. How old is he? How old is he? Because when you do look at him, he does look super young. Ashton Ward age. He is 21 years old. I was actually expecting him to be younger. 21 years old. But yeah, he does look... he looks 15. So third tackle, Jay says. Olivia says, all right, they'll be back in a few weeks against the Broncos. The Dragons. The Dragons play the Broncos today. Out to the right side of the Rabbitohs, and it's going to be Isaiah Tass taking out the halfway point on 4 tackle. He's my age. No, Daz, you're definitely younger than 21. You're definitely younger. I would probably say you're probably about 9 going on 10, which means that I don't think that you're actually allowed to be on YouTube, mate, so you're going to have to turn it off. So Rabbitohs here into the corner, where Clint Gutherson will pick it up at the 9 and takes out to the 10, 15, first tackle. No, the Storm, silly. Yes. Is that on Thursday night? Is Storm Broncos on Thursday night, is it? That doesn't surprise me at all. That's poor defense in the Rabbitohs, and the Dragons will get a great run out here to the 35 on second tackle. Mentally 9 going on 10, mate. Well, I told you. See, I was right. I was spot on. I've never been more spot on in my life. The only time I wasn't spot on was actually never. So third tackle here at the 40. Our last home game. Yeah, look, it's not really a home game, though, because the Storm, I think, have won 70% of their matches at Suncorp, which is a wild stat. Which is an absolutely wild stat. I believe the stat is around 70% of games the Storm have played at Suncorp, they have won. That's not their home stadium. That is not their home stadium. I repeat, that is not their home stadium. So King Tagia, he'll put one just simply up into the corner for Alex Johnson. They're peppering Johnson aside. I'm not too sure why, but sure. And the Rabbitohs will get this ball at the 20 on first tackle. Maybe they're trying to set up for a 90-metre Alex Johnson try to break the record tonight. Sean James says the first 50 years of childhood is the hardest. Mate, everyone's a child. You're only as old as you are in your brain. You are only as old as you are here. Always tell yourself that. Third tackle. There might be an injury here. Oh, no. Jai Arrow. No, he's grabbing at his knee. No, I don't want to see that. No, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. No, God bless him. No, they're grabbing at the right knee here. You never want to see anything to do with a knee. He is at least stretching it out, and they are moving it around quite freely, so maybe it's just a tickler. Hopefully it is just a bit of a tickler here. He comes down. Oh, it's just a bit of an awkward drop there. But you never want to see that. You never want to see anyone writhe around in pain, let alone when it comes to the knee, because knees usually do turn to be long-term injuries, but touch wood, that does not happen. He's still on the ground here. Tweaked it in the tackle. Yeah, hopefully it is just a tweak and nothing too serious, but he is still down there, just giving him attention as they play the game on. I actually don't know why. Why are they playing the game on? He's still in the area. He's still down. I'm surprised they actually allowed the play to go on here. Fit tackle at the halfway point. If it didn't pop, he'll be right. Well, again, he's still down in back play. And that might be a penalty here. They might call a penalty. No, he doesn't. He allows it to go. So Gutherson will get this ball at the 20. It'll be first tackle at the 25. Is Daz 3 nearly 6? Daz is 3 nearly 6. A lot of ways. And now Corey Allen, he'll bring it out to the 30 on second tackle. Olivia says, oi. Don't know why we're saying oi, but, you know, Aussie, get around it. Third tackle now for the Dragons, and they'll be at the 38. Get him off the field. Is he still on the field here? Well, they're about to get into the area, so they go left-hand side. Gutherson gives it off. Here's a chance, and Matthew Fino will be at the 45. Is he still down over there? No, he's not there, so they must have taken him off the field. Unless he's on. No, he's actually walking around again. He's actually back into the play. So it wasn't too bad. That's good to see. Fit tackle now for the Dragons at 35. Especially with the Rabbitohs as well. Like, they've been so many injuries this year. You have a mini heart attack anytime you see a Rabbitohs player go down, just because clearly their strength and conditioning hasn't been at its peak in 2025. So Jai Gray now will get this ball at the 10 on first tackle. The Aussie Labs says, g'day mate, you're a Illawarra broadcaster, thanks for your work. What's the pitch conditions, Rain? Yeah, no, we're always here mate, appreciate you for tuning in. No, it looks like it's fine, it looks good here. I'm not in Sydney, so I can't give you a great read, but I can tell you from the angle that we see, doesn't look like there's a droplet of rain. It does look quite cold though, because you can see the breath coming out of the players. So it does seem like it might be quite cold. Fourth tackler at the 45. And now Isaiah Tass, he'll get this ball inside the attacking half. It's been a bit of a tit for tat in this first 10 minutes. 30 minutes to go the first half. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Jason Hadley says, who was that Gronk mumbling about Chi? I want to hear more from that guy. Can we get his textbook opinion on the game of rugby league? Mate, you know, his opinion is just top notch. It's the big dog. You know, like, we're talking blocker category. We're talking, like, big dog. We're talking a real big dog. Second tackle here at the 30. You know, you don't want to go toe-to-toe with him about rubber league. No, sir. All right, Dragons now third tackle here at the 38. That's some big dog material. Mounty says, Titans looking good for minor premiership, mate. They're guaranteed to. They're too good. They're just too good. It makes me sick sometimes. Dragons will get this ball to the 45 on fourth tackle. It actually does make me sick how good they are. You know, I feel for all you guys who have to witness your teams just struggle against them all the time. You know, I just want a fair competition where we all have a fair crack, and unfortunately, you just don't have the ability to do that when you've got the might and power of the Gold Coast just, you know, flying along. So the Rabbitohs here at the 10, Jai Gray, now brings out to the 15. It's going to be first tackle. Brett says, Ray Hadley related Tristan. Oh, by the way, how good is it to see that Rabs wants to get back into the game? I don't know if they're going to get him back on the commentary, but Rabs saying that he wants to get back on the commentary is just awesome to hear. You know, that's our childhood right there, man. The old Rabs. Ray Rabbit Warren. Get around him. Second tackle now, and the Rabbits will be at the third tackle at the 25. Oh, wait, did I just say they're at the third tackle? Third tackle at the 25. See, maybe I don't know anything about rugby league. Let me see, that tackle on the kicker was nuts. Yeah, I was surprised they weren't going to give a penalty. Aussie Lab says rain equals low score game. For the most part, sometimes you can see games still kind of blow out, but for the most part, you are right. And the Dragons now at the 20. It's just been a tit for tat first 12 minutes here. No one's had any attacking opportunities yet. We haven't seen their team in the attacking 20. There's not. Has there even been a penalty? I don't think there. No, there hasn't been a penalty. There hasn't been a 6 again. It's just been straightforward as it gets. Manti says, what's your thoughts on Haas picking Samoa and Val Holmes considering Cook Islands? I don't know if Val Holmes gets into the Australian team now, especially with the fact that he's been injured for a lot of this year. But I think it's good for the game, man. You know, at the end of the day, we want to see the international game. I ultimately want to see the international game be bigger than Origin. I don't know if it's going to be the case, but the only way that can happen is the best players playing for all different kind of countries rather than just Australia. I do think there has to be stipulations regarding Origin. However, I want to see the best players, you know, really competing with Australia at the big level. That's a knock-on from, I think it's a knock-on from Jai Gray here, which is going to get the Dragons the ball 10 metres out. No, it's a penalty to the Rabbitohs. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. They've said a penalty to the Rabbitohs, so they'll just get themselves out of their own 10. That's the first penalty of the game. So, yeah, look, obviously Tino's decided to play for Australia this year. I think that really should have confirmed him to play next year, but I think that he probably does go to Samoa for the World Cup next year then. I think it's good for the game, mate. I think it's good for the game. Australia has plenty of depth, dude. Like, plenty of depth. Also, why is this a penalty? It seems like he got there at the perfect time. Jai Gray. Oh, dude, that's a rough penalty. I don't agree with that. But anyway, Rabbitohs first tackle here at the 32. I think that's kind of a rough penalty. Kind of looked like he got there right in time. But there you go. Hella Kimmy says, bro, with you, I support Dragons all the way from Highlands to Papua New Guinea. Get around your PNG. Third tackle here for the Rabbitohs at the 45. So, yeah, I would love to see Val Holmes playing for Cook Islands. I don't think it's going to dramatically do a great deal because they're still lacking in a lot of areas, everywhere in their spine, everywhere, which you're definitely going to see from, the islands a lot of the time, especially the halves. The halves have always been the Achilles heel of island teams. And they'll be Jai Gray taken down to the 20 on fit tackle. So still no team tackled inside the attack in 20 just yet. But Jai Gray slowly getting up to play the ball. Rolls it back to Johnson, then off to Jamie Humphries. And Humphries will put that up around the 10. And good take there from Matthew Fairneye at the 6. First tackle. Nate says, I hope he does the grand final every year and I'll be happy. Mate, you got to love Rabs. And it's good because, obviously he's no fresh pup anymore. He's a older man and he's definitely tired. But to hear him say that he still wants to crack on is just so awesome to hear. And it's possible. It's possible to commentate from your own home. Look, I do it. I sit here and I'm able to do it. He was talking about how he wants to be able to commentate from his own home. It's like, well, you can because look at me. I do it from. I'm in Vietnam. I did some streams in India. We were doing streams in Thailand. We did a stream in Hawaii this year. We've been everywhere, man. So if I could do it, you absolutely can do it. I know it's possible. Obviously, this is with YouTube, but it's very much possible for him to do it. So I would love to see it. So Jai Gray now gets his ball to the 35 and first tackle. Cody Walker is starting to warm up here. And second tackle at the 45. Rabbitohs starting to get a little bit of momentum in the middle of the field. Nate says that was the perfect time hit. I agree. Mounty says, I know what you mean, but even me as a Pacific Islander, I can vouch for Origin being the pinnacle of rugby league and international will never hit that level in my opinion. I think you say it's 8 from 8 completions for both these teams right now, so perfect, 100%. And fourth tackle for the Rabbitohs at the 38. I think that we say that now without the thought process that if Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, all these teams were competing at a very high level, I do think that international still has the potential to overtake. Johnson down the left-hand side, it's a good kick, but great take from Gutherson. He'll get the ball at the 10 on first tackle. I think it just comes down to it will take a lot of time. I don't believe that Origin should become It's so difficult because you can't say that it becomes an international game by just allowing free players to kind of play wherever. There is still stipulations, but Origin currently is very clearly the pinnacle. But I just feel like if Samoa and Tonga are playing at Australia's level and New Zealand's level, because New Zealand are well and truly up there, if we can get England performing even at a better level as well, and teams like Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and even so much to say the Cook Islands, Lebanon, once those teams can compete against Australia, then I do think it has the chance to overtake. But that's a knock-on here from the Dragons, the first mistake of the game. And the Rabbitohs will be at the 40. I told you the momentum's kind of going with Rabbitohs at the moment. They haven't had an attacking opportunity. Neither team has until right now. Rabbitohs are 33 metres out from the line, second tackle. Oh, they said it wasn't a knock-on. They said it was backwards and bounced forwards into the Rabbitohs. So, Rabbitohs now are at 25 metres out, third tackle. We're going to see the first tackle in the attacking 20 all game for either team. Jamie Humphries to Jai Gray. Jai Gray gets it out to Tallis Duncan. Duncan's got a couple of tries last week. We could have easily seen Johnson go over for one, but Duncan scored 2. And it's like, you're not complaining if he scores, but we still want to see Johnson get a couple. So please pass the ball here today, Tallis. Now, the Rabbitohs, they're going to be 5 minutes out from the line. Fit tackle. What can they do with their kicking game? They go right-hand side. Havili got it to Johnson's side. Oh, they kick it through. Beautiful kick, beautiful kick. It's a try time for Jacob Host and the Rabbitohs. Shorts over the Rabbitohs. That's nice work there. But it's not Alex Johnston. It's not Alex Johnston. We want to see Alex Johnston. Why can't we see Alex Johnston score? Rabbitohs go left-hand side, but it's a nice kick in from Ashton Ward. It's in a really perfect, awkward spot for the Rabbitohs. Awkward for the Dragons and perfect for the Rabbitohs. And Jacob Host just grabs it before Clint Gutherson, and it's a try time. Mitchell says, I swear he's offside. Well, they'll check it in the bunker. They will check it. Broggy Sports, try time, bing bong, mudda bish. Here we go, we'll see here. And, I think he's fine. No, I think he's good. I don't think he'll be offside there. Nikhil says, imagine Rab starts a watch-along. I don't know if he's going to be able to deal with the chat. It takes a strong mind to deal with the chat. Like, I've been called Chi-Chi today, so, takes a strong mind to be able to do what we do here. But I think that it'd be perfect for still being able to do it at home in regards to the commentary. Asmate says, "Oh, here we go. This will confirm is like it's close, but I think he's fine. Needs to do one more Origin. Pisses me off seeing him at 99 Origin games called. Oh, it's Rabs at 99. Yikes. Yikes. Olivia says, when's the Rugby League World Cup? Next year. Next year it's going to be massive here on the channel. We're going to have some... It's going to be so good to watch the World Cup at a good time zone. Because when we were streaming in the last one... so I think it's confirmed try, by the way. When we were streaming the last World Cup in England, we were doing streams at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I think we had 1,200 people watching the Papua New Guinea versus Tonga game live at like 3 in the morning. So it was great because we were getting, a bunch of people tuning in and having a good time, but it was an awful time slot. It was awful. That was back in 2022? No, I think it was 2023, wasn't it? It got postponed a year, didn't it? I think it got postponed to 2020. No, it might have been 2022. I can't remember. Or maybe I'm thinking of the Olympics when it got postponed by a year. I can't remember. But the point is that, we're up at 3 a.m. doing all the games, and it was awesome. But I hate having to do that at like 2, 3 in the morning. Rabbitohs will get the kick. Let's go. That's been a real problem for the Rabbitohs this year. They've been similar to the Warriors over the last couple of years where they just can't get a conversion. But the last couple of weeks, the Rabbitohs have really been firing up behind their conversions. The Titans game, the game against the Eels, and then this game, they get that one. So they're happy with that. They literally lost to the Melbourne Storm about 2 months ago because they couldn't get a conversion to save their life. And they lost by 1. Brett Essex said, I thought we would hear of more highlights from Munro when he came into the league. He looked like a dangerous player. The issue with Munro is that he's very much in a lot of ways like a Lofiana Khan-Pereira, where he's very fast. He's got really good X-Factor speed, can score tries, but defensively can be a bit how you're going and can drop a few high balls. So that's, I think, where Munro's been injured for a lot of this year too. But Munro is a very 50-50 player in a lot of ways too. Klaus says, evening all, get around you, Klaus. Tasman says, good kick from the 14-year-old. Second tackle now of the Rabbitohs, and they'll be at the 25. Matty says, imagine Rabs featuring BK Sports Rabs at Legends. Get around him. Rabs, what a man. What an absolute man. Was meant to be 21, but postponed 22. Thank you. Thank you, Mounty. So third time, I knew it was like postponed by 1 year, but that was because there was a lot of actual big sporting events postponed. 20 minutes into the first half, you guys. 20 minutes to go. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. It is 6-0 to the Rabbitohs and 4 tackle for them at the 45, and now 5th tackle for them at the 50. Yummy rabbit stew, maybe? Well, the rabbit stew's not looking too yummy right now, Klaus. It's looking like the rabbits... Looking like there's no rabbit stew. It's looking like the rabbits are having dragons for dinner instead. Some good meat on the dragon. Actually, no, that'd just be scales, really, wouldn't it be? Dragon... Well, I don't know how much... Well, there'd be a lot of meat on the dragon, surely, but it just... I don't know if that would be good meat, dragon meat. Would that be good meat? I don't know. Maybe it'd cook up inside just because of the fire that comes out. Maybe it could be good meat. Maybe it could be. Brenton says, commentary saying Ashton looks like he's in year 9. Well, commentary, Dasmate, everyone's saying it. So the Dragons here, 4 tackle at the 40. Dan says 2021 was postponed all season. No rugby league happened. No, Dasmate. Rugby league did actually happen. I think the team that came in last that year was the Brisbane Broncos. Oh, no, it was your Bulldogs. Yeah. No, the year before that was the Broncos. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because 2021, the Titans actually made the finals, which was spectacular for me to watch us go out in completely heartbreaking fashion with a no pass from Patrick Herbert that I'll never get over in my life. Second tackle now for the Rabbitohs, and they'll beat the 33, and it'll be a penalty. Penalty, South Sydney. Livy says, where's Sam? Think he's probably doing some raids on some game that I have absolutely no idea about and probably will never know about. But he does say that he listens into the streams, so you might have just... Sorry, I just saw a message. He might have... He might come out of his shell now that you've said that. He might come out of his shell now. So the Rabbitohs here will be at the 40, and it's going to be first tackle on the Dragon side of the field. The Rabbitohs just simply have been the better team here today so far. They have been. Maybe the Dragons were just shattered from last week's result and aren't able to kind of get themselves up for it, because I do think that, realistically, based off of the last month at the very least, I think the Dragons should be performing a lot better than they are. But the Rabbitohs here, Ashton Ward, he's having a game right now. He's 9 metres out, third tackle, a good about 10 or so metres post-contact. Isaiah Tass to Jamie Humphries. Humphries off to Kolomatangi, then off to Jai Gray. Jai Gray at the 10. He gives it to Tallis Duncan. Pass the ball, Oh my gosh, he won't pass the ball. I don't know we're going to see Alex Johnson score any tries the rest of the season, lads. Tallis Duncan's a great player, but like I don't know if he's ever going to pass the ball out to Johnson's side. I don't know. Every time he gets the ball, he runs it at the line, and sometimes, yeah, sure, he scores, but it just doesn't seem like Tallis Duncan has the ability to pass that ball out to Alex Johnson. Right-hand side, good pass to Jacob Hose. He must score again. Oh, he's literally half a metre short on fit tackles. The Dragons will be coming off their own 1 metre. 99 metres in this set. Good luck. Middle says only the last round was cancelled in 2021. Oh, Dazmate says, no, that happened. Oh, wow. So, Daz, I thought you said that 2021 didn't happen, but now round 25, because that would have been the last, or was it round 24, round 25? I don't know, because it's a couple of games short, because the Dolphins weren't in yet. So, if the season didn't happen, then how did that one happen, Daz? It was just like a one-off, was it? It was just like a one-off, that. Damn, that's a very interesting season. We only apparently saw 2 games, Titans versus Roosters in the finals, and that game there in the last round of the season, Daz. Well, that's very interesting. Mounty says, wonder what happened to Patrick Herbert. After that game, he disappeared from the face of the earth. 4th tackle at 30. Unfortunately, with Pat, he was a great dude, man. He was a great bloke. But unfortunately, that did impact him greatly. He actually had a really good season in 2021, but it was completely overshadowed by that moment. And unfortunately, that'll be what he will be remembered for. But he actually had a pretty good season for the Titans. And then he got a serious long-term injury in 2022. I don't know if it was ACL or it was just something serious. Rabbitohs' first tackle here at the 32, and then just didn't really come back from that, man, and now he's just living his life with his family, and you love to see that. But yeah, it's unfortunate how his career came to an end, because again, he was having a pretty good 2021. It's just that one moment was so heartbreaking for so many people, and embarrassing from a neutral perspective as well, that it's so difficult to overcome something like that. It is so difficult mentally. But I hope he's happy in his life, and despite the fact that we talk rugby league and we're very disappointed he didn't pass that ball, and it really, I still think the Titans, whoever played the next week, gets slapped. Roosters still got slapped to Manly in Tom Trbojevich's season. Main thing is that he's happy and healthy. Jai Gray gets away from a tackle here, fit tackle, 10 metres out. So it'll be Dragons ball to 10. Brenton says, Ashton is making Galvin look like a rookie right now. Well, why are we bringing up Galvin? What are we doing? What are we, Fox League over here? We NRL 360? Oh, they're trying to claim a crusher here, and the Dragons will receive their first penalty. Tui Pelotu claims a crusher, and he does get it. He does get it. Wiggy getting around it from Papua New Guinea. Get around ya. Dasmo says, yeah, only 3 games happened that year. Dogs Tigers, Dogs Sharks, and Dogs Dragons. I think Dogs Titans might have happened too, actually. If I can think back. No, definitely did. Yeah, let me just make sure, Daz. Let me just make sure. Dragons with an awful kick there from the penalty. Awful kick, only gets him to the 25. So 2 penalties to the Rabbitohs so far, and 1 penalty to the Dragons. 2021. Just going to make sure here, Daz, because you might be right. You might be right. There might not have been Titans-Dogs game, but I'm pretty certain there probably was. Oh, yeah, it was 30-20 to the Titans. Yeah, no, it did happen. Yeah, no, 30-20. Oh, there was another one, 34-6. So, Daz, actually, unfortunately, you are wrong on this instance, and it was actually 2 times the Titans played. But the Dragons will get a 6 again here at the 40. So, first tackle now, 35 metres out from the line. Dragons with their first attacking opportunity of the game. Wow, Daz. Usually you do know it all, but you didn't know it all today. Yeah, no, there was definitely 2 games against the Titans that year. So, second tackle. It seemed like the Titans scored a few points in those too. Highland says up the Wars. No, the Warriors don't play at home this week, mate. No, you can't support them. Can't support them this week. Only when they're at home. You told us. This is what you said. Gutherson, left-hand side, 25-15, 10, and they go over the sideline. Good work by the Rabbitohs. You've got to appreciate it. And the Rabbitohs will take Christian Tuipulotu over the sideline, and it's going to be Rabbitohs ball at 10. I will say, in regards to Tyrone Munro, though, he owned Josh Addo-Carr last week. He owned him, and that's a really good tackle from him there. So maybe he has fixed a lot of his defense up, because the last couple of weeks he's been on fire in regards to that defensive edge. And well, that was more so Isaiah Tass, to be fair. But again, he's been doing well over the last couple of weeks. Mitchell says, very disappointing. 360 hasn't changed their name to Galvin 360. Oh, it's coming. Like it's coming. Like it just is what it is, you know. It just is what it is. If it's not about Galvin, it's about the Bulldogs. And if it's not about the Bulldogs, then it's about Galvin. And then if it's not about Bulldogs or Galvin, it's about Buzz Rothfield talking about both the Bulldogs and also Lachlan Galvin. Dasmo says, no, you're thinking of Dogs Titans 2023 to call. No. They did postpone that game, and we're still waiting for them to. We're still actually waiting for them to play that game. Yeah. So third tackle here at the 20. And they'll give it up to Jai Gray. They shifted it quickly. Alex Johnson. That's a good pass there from Tallis Duncan. Johnson's away here. Johnson's away. Back to Jai Gray. Get the ball back to Johnston. They're going to score to the post. We're never going to see Alex Johnston score again at this rate. We're never going to see him score again. It was such good work from Alex Johnston. But they didn't get the ball back to him. And Jai Gray will score to the post. It's so funny because at the end of the day, you want to just see the team score, right? You want to see the Rabbitohs score. And if you're a Rabbitohs fan, you just want to score. But you want to see Alex Johnston do it. So they're not doing anything wrong. Like, what they're doing is correct. They're scoring. But we just want to see him pass the ball to AJ. It was a good pass from Tallis Duncan, though. And yeah, Alex Johnston gets around the Queensland decider winner in Corey Allen. Oh my gosh, just kick it back to the left-hand side. We had Alex Johnston right there. We had him right there. Try assist. Yeah, it's a try assist, Aussie Lab. Not what we're looking for, but it is a try assist there. It was a great run from AJ. So 10-0, the Rabbitohs with the kick to come. Nick Hill says, don't forget to hit the likes. Exactly right. Smack the like button. Dasmate says, no, we're not thinking of that. I already read that comment. We're not going to read it out again. Aussie Lab says, huge loss. Para, my G, King Gutho, huge loss. Yeah, he was a big loss, but in the same sense, it was time for him to move on. It was time. You know, the Eels did need to go in a completely new direction. They got Jason Riles there. They did need to look to the future. That's why they've gotten rid of Dylan Brown. Now he's off to the Newcastle Knights. You know, they lost Gutho. They've said goodbye to a couple of players. So I think that it was time. And Gutho's been able to do well here at the Dragons. This game, overall, not so much. But I don't know what this bloke's doing in the back of this shot here. But Ashton Ward, he will kick the conversion. And it is 12-0, 28 minutes in. Well, mathematically speaking, Dragons, if you lose this game, your season is donezo, mathematically speaking. Mounty says, bro was really trying to convince us that there was only 3 games in 2021 when we all watched that season. So Mounty, he is a Bulldogs fan. The old dad's mate is a Bulldogs fan. And unfortunately, in his mind, the Bulldogs have never lost a game before. So he's trying to tell us that there was only 3 games in 2021. And the reason being is because there was only 3 wins for the Dogs in 2021. So that is Sir Dad's mate over here. He is a major muppet. But he's our muppet, but he's a major muppet. And Nikhil says, I actually expected more tries from both teams. I guess I didn't know about the rain. Well, it doesn't look like it's raining, though. It doesn't look like it's raining. I can't see any rain. Like the field looks like it's got a little bit of wetness about it, but I can't see any rain. Mounty says, something tells me the Rabbitohs want him to break the record against the team they play in the final round. Sure, but like right now he still needs 3 tries to equal Ken Irvine and 4 tries to actually break it. So you would hope that they would be able to get him 1 or 2 before that game. Because again, next week is a bye. So they don't have a game next week, the Rabbitohs. So he needs to score like 1 or 2 today. Otherwise, he'll have to score 4 tries in round 27 against the Roosters. That should be a penalty, but they're not going to call it. Peter Mamazelis at the 35. 10 minutes to go in the first half, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I am bro, mate. Did I say bro, mate, did I? Did I really? This poor guy probably gets his ID checked every weekend. I would safely say so. Isn't it like if you look under 28 or something like that, they have to check your ID? What's the rule around that? I wouldn't have a clue. I would not have a clue. But first tackle for the Dragons at the 25. I haven't been in a country that checks IDs since America. India doesn't check jack in regards to IDs. If you think that IDs even exist in Thailand, you're crazy. And then Vietnam, there's barely any IDs themselves as well. Ben Casper says, Rabbitohs will leap over the Dragons tonight, go the Bunnies. So the issue here, Ben, is that they would need to win by 70 points or so to go above the Dragons. So I don't think so. I don't think so today, but they will be... they haven't actually given these bye points to the Sharks yet. They haven't given the buys to the Sharks. Otherwise, they'd be in the top 4. Why is NRL.com not updating that? That is your twin, Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell, mate. That is your twin. Hagen says, what's your upset of this round? Upset of this round? Well, Titans are the bigger team with the Warriors, so you could throw that out there, but I know I'll be called biased for that. And I'm still not convinced on it regardless. Upset of the round, it would have to come from a game tomorrow because the other games, there's no real serious upsets unless the Eels beat the Roosters, which I don't think so. like, I'd have to go and say maybe the Panthers over the Raiders, which is not a crazy upset, but it's still an upset regardless. But there's not a great deal of upset potential outside of that, unless you want to go and say the Titans over the Warriors, with the fact that Titans beat the Warriors in New Zealand about 4 weeks ago, and they're the bogey team. Outside of that, I'd probably look towards the Panthers over the Bulldogs, because the other games are all pretty wishy-washy. 4 tackle here, and they'll beat the 45. Dom says, my dad got checked for ID in Memphis. He was 56 at that time. In America, they're very strict in regards to IDs, but 56 is crazy. That's wild. Fit tackle now to 42. 56 is insane. I know that the age there is 21, but 56 is insane. Jeez, he must be a young, good-looking strap, your dad. So Gutho will bring this ball out here to the 15, first tackle. He's calling you Mitchell now. That is Mitchell, mate. That is Mitchell, mate. Aussie Lad was timed out for 10 seconds by Mitchell. Aussie Lad says West Tigers math. Okay, let's go and do that again in English, Aussie Lad. Let's go and do that one in English. You've put mathematical. Oh, you must be saying, are the Tigers mathematically done? You've gone mathematical done. But mathematically done, not mathematically, but they're done, but not mathematically. So the Dragons now will get this offload away to Gutho, and Gutho will be at the 35 on fit tackle, 8 minutes to go the first half. No, Tigers can still make the 8. Yeah, the Tigers make the 8 is this year. I'll do a stream naked. How about that? So fit tackle here for the Rabbitohs, and they'll be at the 10. Jai Gray first tackle. The Tigers would not only need Manly, the Dolphins, and the Roosters to all lose every single game from here on out. And the issue there is that one of Manly or Dolphins will win this week because they play each other. The Tigers would also need to go and win all 3 games. And then with that, they would need the points differential of their minus 107 to exceed the Dolphins of plus 109 or the Roosters of plus 92 or even the Manly of minus 24. But then again, you know, Manly are ultimately done. But it's just down to the Dolphins and Roosters, realistically. Sleep stream first. Fair enough. So we've done plenty of those. Just go back to the Premier League days. Gutho at the 3. He'll bring it out to the 10 and 15 first tackle. Naked stream would make you eligible for Big Brother Uncut. The old naked stream. Maybe that gets us on Big Brother. Maybe. You're a genius, thanks. Well, no, like, at the end of the day, Aussie Lab, I did know what you're saying, but there's a few issues with the comment. One, it's West, not West, which I actually got confused by when I first started doing vlogs and stuff. I used to put West Tigers, and then people would always be like, it's the West Tigers, not West, whatever. So that was wrong. And then you put mathematical, and then you put Don. So, and that's a penalty to the Dragons at the halfway point. This will be... well, their second attacking opportunity. Their first one wasn't really anything big time, so I'd nearly say this is their first attacking opportunity. So this is a penalty to the Dragons. They should get this ball to about the 25-30. I don't know why Brandon Smith did say sorry, to be fair. Scott James says, hope you're well. Just need Storm to make the grand final and you'll have your donation. Mate, we're for line. We are for line. How much are you winning, by the way, Scott? Obviously, you had Broncos to make the 8, which I think is pretty much a sure thing at this point. That's a knock-on from the Dragons. Oh, my gosh. St. George, what are you doing? What are we doing, St. George? What are you doing? Knock-on, first tackle. Big yikes. Big yikes. Knock-on, St. George. Jay says, just show them your OnlyFans account. Well, you know, it's an option. It's an option. If they say to us, no, you can't get on because you don't have an OnlyFans, they'll be like, hey, listen, you don't know yet. You don't know. I got a really big spender on there, and his name is J.A.'s. But the biggest spender is actually a man named Daz, mate. All right, so possession-wise, 52% to the Rabbitohs and 48% here to the Dragons. How dare you forget one singular S? Well, I did get roasted for probably about 3 or 4 weeks on those early streams early vlogs, before I did ultimately change it. Scott says, Broncos make the 8 and Storm make the grand final. 2K I'll make. Mate, you're flying if that happens. Obviously, the Storm, not there just yet, but they are looking very good for it, and you'd back them in for it. It'd take a big push from a team in a knockout game to get them out. It'd be such a shock. Like, we'd sit here with our just mouth wide open being like, what did we just witness? I think it'd be really It'd be really nice though to see the Panthers get knocked out. Not because they dislike the Panthers, just because it'd show there's a new winner this year. Even if it was a Storm, that's still 5 years ago. So 4th tackle now to 35. And then Jamie Humphries with a really good run. He'll be 25 metres out, fit tackle. Brenton says Ashton would be age restricted from OnlyFans. And Brendan Smith, here's a chance. All right, Jai Gray, give someone pass the ball to Johnson, please. Just anybody. I just want to see one person pass a singular ball to Alex Johnson inside the attack and half. Just one. We just want one person. So Dragons first tackle here at the 5. Just one person. Anyone. Does Alex Johnson actually play for the South Sydney Rabbitohs? Mitchell says, say goodbye to your 2K. Broncos love a choke. If the Broncos choke from here, they would get memed to oblivion. They play the Knights and the Cowboys these last 2 weeks, and then they play the Storm. They should lose that game to the Storm, but like if they threw it away from here, we'd have to send them to Timbuktu. We'd have to do it at that point. We would actually genuinely just send them to Tanzania. They would be the Tanzania Broncos because another knock off from the Dragons, and the Rabbitohs will get the ball at the 40. Geez, they've been poor this first half, the Dragons. There's not been anything good about them. They haven't shown any kind of... There's not been anything to really go off, really. They've had a couple of knock-ons. They've been on the back foot for the most part. Even when they got an attacking opportunity, they knocked it on, or they got taken over the sideline. They've really been poor in this first half. Nikhil says, AJ has scored so many tries, he's still not phased. His time will come. His time will come? No, don't get me wrong. No, here we go. Talis Duncan. Pass the ball. Talis Duncan, some fish. Pass the ball. Third tackle at the 5. Alex Johnson passes it back into the inside to Cody Walker. Cody Walker up to Jamie Humphries, who's running the ball a lot today. What is he, a 13? Is he playing 13 today, Jamie Humphries? He's not. Like obviously, he's just running the ball on the line, but that's pretty much what he's just done all day. That's not a bad thing. It's just like different to see. All right, Rabbitohs here. 10 minutes out. Please keep the ball Alex Johnson's side, please. I'm begging you. Kalomatangi at the left-hand side. Here we go. Pass the ball. Alex Johnston. He will score. Smack. Bang. Bish. Alex Johnston with the try time. I do think that was a forward pass, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Like I think it's a forward pass. There's not much riding on this game, guys. But that's still probably pretty poor touchy there because who is it? Good on you, Belinda Sharp, because I'm pretty certain this was forward from Talis Duncan, but it's whatever. All right, 2 tries to equal the record, 3 tries to break it. Yeah, that's forward for sure, dude. Belinda, come on. Belinda. Like, I don't really care. I'm actually kind of happy that Belinda was inept there, but it was definitely a forward pass. It was definitely a forward pass. Now, he's 2 tries behind Ken Irvine, 3 tries from breaking the record. Yeah, commentary's like he's been gifted one there off the back of a pretty obvious forward pass. I wonder if how Dragons fans feel about that. Like, Dragons fans, do you care ultimately? I know you're gonna probably lose this game from me because you've been really poor. But do you ultimately care? We're gonna see greatness happen. We're gonna see, and I do think over the next 5 years we'll probably see his record broken as well potentially. And no, then again, he'll be playing for a few more years. But I do think that the way the game is played, we are going to see just players scoring tries like crazy. Like, look at Lofiana Khan-Pereira. If he was getting enough time on the field, he's already at like 53 tries, and he only debuted like 2 years ago, right? 3 years ago. So we're going to see a lot of these faster, more expansive wingers score a bunch of tries, and I do think that Alex's record will be broken relatively soon, especially sooner than how long it's taken for Johnson to break Ken Irvine's. But Ken Irvine's record is so incredible because the game was so different back then. The game was so different back then. So it's really impressive to see what Ken Irvine was able to do in that kind of style of footy compared to today. Because today is such a higher scoring game than what it used to be. All right, from the left-hand sideline, Ashton Ward, he will miss the kick. So it will stay 16-0 with 50 seconds to go the first half. Mounty says, we just don't want to wait all off-season to see him break it next year. Yeah, wait all off-season for him to break it in the first couple of minutes of next season. It'd be such a long off-season to wait. Justin Sunder, member for 48 months, get around ya. No more Titans logo for me. Yeah, you wait till I go change it, Sunder. You wait till I go damn well change it. Olivia Reed with the $8 donation. So someone told me I should become the Tooth Fairy so I can knock a few people's teeth for free. Do we think that's how the Rabbitohs fans lost theirs? Hey, Rabbitohs fans, I didn't say it. Olivia said it. You know, I didn't say it. Let me say it. And Olivia is kind of your boss right now because the Broncos did put 60 past you. So that was the Rabbitohs' last loss, actually. So Olivia can kind of say, as a Broncos fan, whatever she damn well pleases. But look, maybe, Olivia, you might be onto something there. Thank you for the dono. Scott James says Johnson breaks it against the Roosters would be the best moment. It would be. I would love to see him score one more try today. So then he would need to score 2 tries against the Roosters, which is absolutely possible. I just don't think he's going to score a hat-trick against the Roosters, but that would also be really cool to see him score a hat-trick, break it, Rabbitohs win against their biggest rivals, but I just don't know if they're going to beat the Roosters, especially with their form, but that's still 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks away after this week. So Jai Gray here at the 40, and now he'll get this ball here to the 50 on 4 tackle. There is 5 seconds left here in the first half. Salvadoro says, I need Tallis Duncan. Well, he scored a couple last week. I definitely put him in for a shout the second half this week, but we're also just really wanting Alex Johnson to score, which means that Tallis Duncan will need to pass it. But half time here, guys, 16-0 to the Rabbitohs. They have been clearly the better team here. Dragons have been super flat, super lethargic, and it does seem like they recognise that their season is done after last week's loss to the Warriors. I think if they beat the Warriors, it would have been a much different outfit here for St. George, but obviously, they've just got nothing really to play for right now. They're in rugby league purgatory as we currently speak for 2025, so there's just not a lot on offer. Whilst the Rabbitohs, they're trying to officially avoid the spoon. They win this game, and they've definitely avoided the spoon, even though they've got to bye next week. So there's probably a little bit more to play for here for the Rabbitohs, and obviously they do want to see Alex Johnson break the record this year. But let's get into the stats here, guys. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here. So possession-wise, is 56% possession to the Rabbitohs, 44% to the Dragons, and that's because they've been coming up with quite a few errors, St. George. Try scorers for the Rabbitohs is Jacob Host, Jai Gray, and Alex Johnston. Now, the time of possession is 17 minutes and 26 seconds for the Rabbitohs, 13 minutes and 31 seconds for the Dragons. That's awesome to see because that means there's basically 31 minutes of ball in play here. Now, a lot of the average you'll see is 25, 26. Anything less than 25, 26 is quite low in regards to time possession. This is well high. 31 minutes or so of time possession is so good to see, and I don't even know if that's updated the last minute or minute and a half of ball in play. So it does mean that this game is quite free-flowing for the most part. Whether it be knock-ons or whatnot, they're just picking it up and playing it on. The referees haven't had too much of an impact overall. Now, completion rate is 100% for the Rabbitohs. You want to at least hit 80%. They are perfect. 100%, 21 from 21. You are not going to lose too many games in rugby league if you're getting 100% completion rate at halftime at 21 for 21. That is brilliant. Whilst the Dragons are at 78%, so just under the marker of 80%, but 15 from 19. So the Dragons, they're not awful, but they're still making quite a few errors, which is why there is a gap here. 100%, 78%, it tells you a story in itself. Now, runs-wise, 107 here for the Rabbitohs with 1,112 run meters. Right there, that tells you they are getting over 10 meters on average per run. The average that you look to achieve, like the real solid marker, is 10 meters on average per run. They're at 1,112, so that's really good stuff. That is amazing stuff there for the Rabbitohs through 107 runs, whilst the Dragons are at 90 for 872. So they're very close to 10 meters on average per run. They just need another 28 meters there. They're super, super close. It'd be like 9.5 and above. So I'm pretty happy to kind of give you the equaling amount in regards to 107 runs to 90 runs. That's 17 runs. 10 meters on average, that's 170 meters. So if we were seeing 107 runs either side, the Dragons with 170 would go to 972. They would be at about 1,022 or so, right? 1,042, I think the Dragons would be at. So that's still about, 70 on run meters behind the Rabbitohs. It's still significantly in advantage of the Rabbitohs there. It's not too bad, though. It's just coming down to those errors. The Rabbitohs are able to get those more meters from the fact that they do have the ball in hand. They're not dropping it, whilst the Dragons are dropping it, and that's why the gap is there. But with the ball in hand, the Dragons aren't actually doing too badly as long as they don't drop it. Post-contact meters is 360 for the Rabbitohs and 311 for the Dragons. A very difficult metric to equate, but I would say that with an extra 17 runs, you'd probably say it's pretty even. You'd probably say it's maybe Rabbitohs 360 to maybe the Dragons at 345, 350. So it's not too bad there, but it's just, again, the errors is what's equating to that. Line breaks is 2-0 South Sydney. Tackle breaks is 11-5 South Sydney. That's very good defense from both teams, especially the Rabbitohs, though. Wow, that is incredible from both those teams there. Average set distance Anything under 25 is you turn the stream off. 25 to 30 is disgusting. 30 to 35 is underwhelming. 35 to 40 is hitting the marker. It's okay. It's average. 40 to 45 is great. 45 to 50 is fantastic. And 50 plus is absolutely perfecto. It is incredible. The Rabbitohs are 52.96. They've had an incredible first half with the ball. 52.96. You are not asking for any higher than that. That is just absolutely spectacular. Well, you can ask for it, but you're not going to see many teams hit that. So the Rabbitohs have had a very good game here. This is a really good game. They are performing at an exceptional level. I know the Dragons have not exactly been great. They've been lethargic, but they're still a 45.93 average set distance. So it's showing the Rabbitohs are actually a pretty good team here. It is showing that this game isn't just bad quality. The Rabbitohs just simply have been the better team because the Dragons are still getting a fantastic category of 45.93 on average set distance. So both these teams performing well with the ball. It's just the Dragons are knocking it on, the Rabbitohs are keeping it, and that's why the Rabbitohs are able to get plus the 50. It's really good numbers here for both those teams. And then you go to the average play the ball speed. Now, this is quite slow. 3.79 seconds if the Rabbitohs is extremely slow, and the Dragons at 3.66 is on the slow category as well, but at least it's not, it's close enough to the 3.6, which is kind of brings it past the average category. Both teams playing the ball very slow here, but you would expect that with the conditions looking as wet as they do. Obviously, it's not raining. It doesn't look like it's raining at all, but the surface does look quite wet. Now, offloads is 2-0 Dragons, so teams aren't really offloading here today. And then you go to the kick defusal of 75% for the Rabbitohs and 57% there for the Dragons. And then we go to the defense, the effective tackle percentage, and both these teams spectacular. Absolutely spectacular here on defense. Rabbitohs at 94.95%. Anything under 85% is disgusting. 85% to 88% is underwhelming. 88% to 90% is solid, good stuff. And then 90% above is incredible. Both these teams are at 95%. Both these teams are performing defensively incredible. 94.95% for the Rabbitohs is really great stuff with 188 tackles made, 5 missed tackles and 5 ineffective. An average amount of missed tackles and a half is 15 to 17. They are 5. They are 10 missed tackles underneath the lowest of the averages of 15. That is really, really positive stuff there for South Sydney. They are making their tackles and they are really honing in defensively. They're just showing a great resilience under Wayne Bennett. And the 5 ineffective, that's about 4. It's about 3-4 underneath the average of ineffective tackles and a half. So again, both well under the averages. Only 10 bad tackles across that 40 minutes. That's really good stuff. And then for the Dragons, at 95.53%. They're actually above. They're above the Rabbitohs here. That's close enough to perfect. 235 tackles made is a lot of tackles because they haven't had as much ball, with only 11 missed tackles and 0 ineffective. They've not had a single ineffective tackle in the first half. That is really top-notch stuff. But the 11 missed tackles is still 4 under the average, the lowest of the averages. So 11 bad tackles compared to 10. The only thing that's kind of bringing it back together there is the fact that the Rabbitohs had 5 ineffective compared to the Dragons with 0, and the 11 to 5 of the missed tackles. Both teams on an effective tackle percentage have not been bad, but the Rabbitohs have still found a way to get that 16-0 just from having the better outcome, being more clinical and with more ball in attacking area, because I really don't think the Dragons had an attacking opportunity in that first half, because every time they got down there, they made a mistake. Either went over the sideline or was a knock-on. Negative play, errors, Dragons 4, Rabbitohs 1. So anything 4 and under is very good. Well, not very good, but anything 4 and under is definitely acceptable. So the Dragons at 4 is on the brink, but it's still a good amount of errors compared to what we normally see of an average of 5 to 6. It's still in the better category of the 4 and under. Rabbitohs only 1. That's really good. That's perfect. You're not complaining with that at all. Penalties conceded is 2-2, which is even, and both teams not too bad there. And then ruck infringements is 1-0. So overall, the Dragons, if they didn't make so many errors here today, the stats are actually leaning with them being, actually on par with the Rabbitohs here in a lot of ways. It's just that their error rate, 15 from 19 compared to 21 from 21, is telling you why the Dragons are losing this game, because overall the stats are aligning that the Dragons are actually quite close here to the Rabbitohs. Could they still come back if they can get a bit more consistency about themselves, hold the ball and get some attacks going? Maybe, but the Dragons aren't known as a great attacking and kicking team. They don't really know how to put the ball onto the right area a lot of the time, which is kind of their biggest problem overall. They do struggle when it comes to the attack. But again, these stats here are saying the Dragons aren't actually that bad. It's just the Rabbitohs have been better. And the errors is what's losing the Dragons this game. So on the eye test, the Dragons looked pretty lethargic. On the stats, the Dragons are actually well and truly in this game, but the score suggests that the Dragons might be out of this game. I guess it comes down to if the Dragons can score next in the first 10 minutes of the second half, the game is well and truly on, and they can absolutely still come back. But if the Rabbitohs score next and take it past the 3 convert tries, you'd probably say it's game over there. Olivia says, not a dig, it's a serious question. Scott Jansen, what do you think the NRL allowed the fans to storm the field if he breaks it? Similar to the Buddy Franklin 1,000-goal mark thoughts. Don't know if enough people attend the game, especially for Rabbitohs games. Don't know if enough people attend the game to see what we saw from the Buddy Franklin moment, because obviously AFL is a lot more catered to the live attendance, whilst the NRL is a lot more catered to the viewership on TV, because it's so much easier to watch the game on TV for the NRL, whilst the AFL, you can't see the entire field, so it's better to get out there. It's part of the culture as well, to really kind of get out to your games comparatively. So the NRL have said, please don't rush the field, but I just don't, I want them to do it. I think that to make it a moment, but I just don't know if people will have I don't know if we're going to see enough people rush the field for an entire, for the attendance of the game to fill up the crowd like we've seen from the AFL. So I absolutely encourage it. I want people to make it a moment. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if people will do it. Edward says, what the hell, Dragons? Yeah, it hasn't been grabbing the scoreboard, but statistically they're actually not too far out of it. Salvadoro says, Tallis Duncan will note. We'll see in the second half, man. They're getting opportunities on that left-hand side, but overall, people are wanting to see Alex Johnson score, so they're more than likely going to try and push that. But Tallis Duncan doesn't pass it too many times. He just doesn't. And it wasn't Tallis Duncan did pass it, but it was forward, even though they called it a try for Alex Johnson. So when he does pass, it is forward, and Melinda unfortunately missed that one, but I don't think too many people are upset she missed that one. But if it was a more important game, people would have been upset for sure. Jesse's Dragons are pathetic. Statistically, not really, but on the eye test, they've looked pretty poor, yeah. Brett Nesek says, Scott, game's too strict on that, it won't happen. Yeah, they've told people not to do it. If enough people do it, then it doesn't matter what the game says. It doesn't matter. Still make it a moment. I just don't know. I don't know if rugby league fans are going to do it, because you're going to get a real eclectic mix where you're going to get some people who are real big advocates for it, probably the younger ones, and then you get the older ones who are like, no, let's just not do it, and just won't do it. And then you'll get people who are kind of toing and froing, and you need those ones who are toing and froing to lean to the two, and you need enough of the people who are saying we need to do it to run on for them to then jump on and say, fuck it, let's go. So I just don't know. There's too many kind of variables there. Whilst with the AFL, the stadium is always packed, so you're going to see quite a few people run on, and then from that you're going to see more people follow. And I just don't know if NRL fans will do that comparison, but I would like to see it. Pingu says, has Alex scored? I'm late to the match. He scored 1 try, yeah. He scored 1 try. So he's 2 tries away from tying Ken Irvine. He's 3 tries away from breaking the record. Apopha says, it feels weird with Ward's babyface tackling Leilua successfully. It doesn't seem possible. Yeah, it's quite funny because he is 21 years old. Obviously he's still super young, but he is 21 years old, and no one, he definitely, I wonder how he would feel, man. He's actually had a good game here today. I wonder how he would feel with the fact that everyone's always talking, everyone's always discussing the fact that he looks super young. Jack Hawkins, g'day Blaze, get around your Jack. Jared Troy says, any team looks good playing against the Dragons, to be honest. Well, ask the Sharks their thoughts on that, and ask the Canberra Raiders their thoughts on that, because they lost to them. Both those teams lost to them in the last 3 weeks. And the Sharks usually always beat the Dragons, to be fair. But look, the Rabbitohs have actually played some pretty expansive footy here for the most part with the stats. Again, it hasn't been the greatest of games ever, but if you listen to the stats that I went through at half time, the stats are actually not too bad for both there. The stats are actually not too bad against the Dragons. I understand when we're watching it, it's a different story, but statistically not too bad. So Watson says, you're a cat if you're there and not storming the field. I agree. Don't be a cat. Get on the field. Get on the field. Again, I just don't think people will do it. I don't think so. And we've just got to really hope, the thing is as well, is that if he doesn't break it tonight, the only time he can break it is against the Roosters in 3 weeks' time, or 2 weeks' time, right? Do you really see enough people running on the field as a Roosters fan to celebrate it? As a Roosters fan, can you see them running on the field? I highly doubt it. So that's why it kind of needs to happen tonight, and there's still not many people in the attendance anyway, but it kind of does need to happen tonight, because at Allianz Stadium, hopefully there's a bunch of Rabbits fans there. and there should be. But with that, actually, is it a core or is it an Allianz? If it's at a core, maybe a different story. No, it is at Allianz. It's at Allianz. So it makes it even tougher to see because there's just no way. I know some Roosters, the younger generation Roosters fans might get out and about and say, yeah, shit, yeah, let's celebrate it. But a lot of the real passionate fans, like for example, if I was at a Titans game versus the Broncos, right, one of our biggest rival, or a Dolphins or whatever, and let's go and say, who's one of their wingers? Well, we can go and say Corey Oates because he was doing well. Obviously not anymore. But let's go and say Corey Oates was about to break the record and then would do it at Seabus Stadium. You can fuck right off if you think that I'm going to be running onto that field. Like, I couldn't care less. Like, obviously, I'm grateful to experience the spectacle of a player breaking the record, but as a rival fan, why am I going to go celebrate a try with my rival team? So I can't see Roosters fans doing it. And if they do it, it's a little bit like, what are you doing? Olivia says, I wouldn't want an $11,000 fine if I was the only one to do it. And that's what my thing is. They're both out in the field again. That's what my thing is. I don't think enough people are going to have the cojones to actually get out there to encourage the toing and throwing ones to be on the two rather than the throw. Brent says, Jared, don't you go for the Raiders? Does he? I can't remember. I can't remember. And usually I have a pretty good memory in regards to who people support. But the Dragons will get this ball out here to the 15. I think Jared Troy's Roosters, no? Jared, who do you support again? Why am I thinking Roosters? I could be completely wrong here, man, so forgive me. But anyway, second half of start here, second tackle for the Dragons to their own 25. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I'm pretty certain he might be Roosters. Storm the field, you cats. Exactly right, Matt. Step1 says, full storm the field with kid off, see a whole crowd nudie run. Okay, now we're going a little bit too far. We've already seen one nudie run during the Origin that actually impacted the Queensland try. New South Wales fans trying to say that was the reason they lost it back in, like, what was it, 2015 or 2014 or something? No, 2015. I think it was, with that big guy with full spray tanned right on the field. He literally stopped a Queensland try. And New South Wales fans were like, that's the reason we lost. Shut up, man. Shut up, you clowns. So it's going to be the Rabbitohs who get the ball here at the 10. Tyrone Munro goes to Jai Gray. And Jai Gray at the 15 flicks it off to Alex Johnson. And he'll get this ball now to the 23 first tackle. Pamvich's game clock reset. Did it? Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll refresh this score so that it goes to live again. And there we go. Jade Troy says Roosters. See, I'm a liar. I may doubt myself, but I shouldn't doubt myself. I'm lying. See, even I knew it. I knew it. Take that to the person who said Raiders. Who said it? It was Brenton. Typical Navcastrian, you know. Josh says up the para. Good luck. It's a tough game against the Chooks. With their form, Jai Gray to the 40. And it'll be fit tackle. 38 minutes to go here of the game. Brenton says Russell should lead them onto the field like Braveheart. Well, Russell's not as heavily a part of the Rabbitohs as he once was. Seb Watson says he won't break it this year. They will have a home game first round versus the Chooks. Well, if he scores one here today, you'd probably back him to equal it against the Roosters. You'd probably back him in for one there. But if he could get two today, then he will more than likely. It would be actually quite scenes if he got two today, got a hat trick, went into the final game of the season against the Roosters at Allianz, needing just one, and then doesn't score. That would be so jokes, dude. Because everyone would get out and about thinking this is the moment. Jacob Little here with a good run, and he's at the 45, the 40. He's at the 35, the 30. Jacob Little back on the inside, and Kyle Flanagan taken down 5 metres out of the line. What a run from Jacob Little, though. Go quickly, Dragons. Go quickly. That's a penalty. That's a sin bin. You got to bin him. You got to bin him there. You've got to bin him. That's Ashton Ward. You got to bin him. There's no way that's not a bin. What? What? How is this not a bin? How on earth is this not a bin here, Sutton? How on earth is this on the bin? That is out of this world that you're not going to bin Ashton Ward for this. How do you allow this to not be a bin? Well, that's wild, Sutton. That is absolutely insane. That is absolutely brain fade from Jared Sutton. In what world is that not a professional foul to stop the play? They would have guaranteed scored on the left-hand side if they... Like, you better hope the Dragons score here, because otherwise they benefit absolutely nothing from a professional foul just then. Jacob Halangahu, third tackle, he's going to be 2 metres out. That's actually insane that he hasn't binned him there. That's absolutely insanity. So out to Gutherson. Now the Rabbitohs have got a full defensive line, and this is the first attack and real opportunity the Dragons have had all game. But what Jared Sutton's done there is penalise the Rabbitohs. They then get yes, sure, the Dragons get a full set, but the Rabbitohs have got their line set, whilst the Dragons would have had a guaranteed try. That's it. Oh, man, that's bad refereeing. Fit tackle here, 2 metres out. That's bad refereeing, man. Dragons kick it through, King Tagia, and that will be... is this a try? It might be a knock-on here. They're going to go to the bunker here. That's such bad refereeing, dude. That is such bad refereeing. Jeez, that's such bad refereeing, dude. Alright, so they try to let this ball bounce over the sideline. King Tongia, that will hit the sideline anyway. So it's going to be 7 tackle set for the Rabbitohs at the 20. So the Dragons get absolutely dudded there on that attack and play. They get absolutely dudded. Apopha says, want to bet for the weekend? I'll let you place the parameters. $150 if you win. If I miss the game, I'll put it in your next stream. So you're saying... What are you saying? You're saying that I tell you what... Are you saying like a try scorer like you usually do? Or are you saying like a result? Or like multi? Like what do you want me to suggest? Sean James says, oysters and beer for half time. It's it's screwed being old. I had oysters last night. That was so good. It's at a Japanese restaurant here in Ho Chi Minh. It was so good. First tackle here at the 30. I still have the oysters in Fiji being better though. Dear me, they're good. Ref should have gone to Specsavers. It's just such poor officiating because the Dragons benefit absolutely nothing from it. They actually get disadvantaged from it, and the Rabbitohs benefit greatly, and they're the ones who should have been punished for it. I just don't understand what world you can argue, what world Jared Sutton can argue that isn't a professional foul. 4 tackle now for the Rabbitohs, and they'll be at the 35. Nichols says, where is the bunker? Well, the bunker's not really going to get involved in the play like that. And 4 tackle here for the Rabbitohs at the 30. Ashen Ward, it'll be at the 25, 5th tackle. Papa says, you can choose what you want. You want a try score or whatever, you get it right, you win. This is my gambling. All right. What we're going to do here, 1 second. Rabbitohs 5th tackle at the 25. And, knock on Corey Allen. And it's going to be Rabbitohs getting the ball here at the 10. A second opportunity coming on up. Oh, a little bit of a slap and tickle. Flanagan and Kyle Walker. Someone throwing uppercuts, you cats. Someone throw an uppercut. They're going to challenge this here, the Dragons. Maybe they're going to say that the Rabbitohs took him out beforehand. No. Unless they're saying backwards. Okay, they're going to challenge this. Let me have a think here a second, Apophis, and I'll let you know. So challenge. I'm pretty certain this is knock on. They're both competing for the ball there. There's no problem with Alex Johnson there. That's just going to be a knock on here from Corey Allen. That should just be a knock on him. Yeah, this is... Unless they say that goes backwards. And now let's just see where because it clearly is going to be touched off of. Alex Johnson doesn't touch this at any point. It's just about... That's just going to be a knock on, lads. No. That was always just knock on. Ridiculous. All right, let's make it interesting. I'll go with... So the Titans are heavy underdogs against the Warriors. Let's make that game more interesting. Let's go with... Like, I could go with something simple and just say Warriors win, so that I win either way there, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go with a try scorer for the Titans. And my try scorer, to make it super interesting... We're going to go against the grain. We're not just going to go with a backline player. We're going to go with... We might go with a backline player, but I'm actually going to go with... You know what? I'll go Kieran Foran to score a try. How about that? His last game against the Warriors. I'll go Kieran Foran to score a try. Make it interesting. Don't make it so simple. Make it hard. I'll go Kieran Foran to score a try. That's huge, by the way. That's a super underdog play, but we may as well have fun with it. Second tackle here at the 4. And now they'll be 10 metres out. Bo to score, everyone says. Bo to score is a good one. How about this one? Can we go Bo or Kieran Foran to score? How about that one? Cody Walker, left hand side. Pass the ball, Tallis Duncan. No, he's going to score anyway. Well, whoever needed Tallis Duncan to score, well, he's just scored a try with the Rabbitohs. 20-0 with the kick to come. Tallis Duncan will score. He actually had an open pass to Alex Johnson as well, but Tallis Duncan will score, so whoever needed him to score, yeah, you're happy with it. But 20-0 to the Rabbitohs and Dragons, Yadanski now. Yadanski. Brent says, I'll hold the money for both of you until the bet is settled. Mate, Apophis, he doesn't need you to hold the money. Oh, Johnson was so open for a try too. He was so open. He was so open. It was there. It was there, mate. It was there. It was there. Oh, my gosh. The amount of tries that Tallis Duncan scores if Latrell Mitchell was there. If Alex Johnson scores if Latrell Mitchell was there is actually ludicrous. It's actually ludicrous. So 33 minutes to go here of the game, and the Rabbitohs are going to get an easy win here. Mitchell says that was one of the most obvious calls too. I know, yeah, Dragons fans should absolutely feel really frustrated with this game actually, because the try for Alex Johnson was clearly forward that everyone was talking about, and then to not bin and Ash and Ward, and then now the Rabbitohs have gone up the other end and scored is a big yikes. Big yikes. So Apophis, we going with that? Or you want to break it into $50 bits? Yeah, we'll do that because we can mix it up then. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll mix it. Actually, no. No, do the one because then... No. What should we do? Bit of a laugh. We'll do 3. We'll go with 3. Actually, no, we'll go with 1 because otherwise YouTube takes a bigger thingo. No, we'll go Kieran Foran for one of them. We'll go to another game that isn't super interesting to fire us up for something. All right, you know what? So one of them will be Kieran Foran to score. Another one will be Penrith with the upset, because that's an upset. I'll go Penrith with the upset. I'll go Kieran Foran to score, and then the third one. The third one we will take. We'll go with Manly game here. We'll go the early game, Manly Dolphins. Actually, no, we'll have one per day, so we'll go to the Sunday games. Okay, so the Rabbitohs will get the ball here at the 5, and then Tallis Duncan now will bring this ball out here to the 15, to the 20 on first tackle. What game should we do? We have to make the Knights game interesting somehow. Knights versus Broncos. Let's go with the Broncos to win 20+. Should we do that? I know Brett Neslick won't be a fan of that. Broncos win 20+. Does that sound like a plan? Florence says, F assholes, this Dragons. Bladley Gaze playing in there. F and C's. This person's off their rocker. Florence not happy. Florence not happy with the Dragons right now. You guys can't see it because the moderators have done what they need to do and removed it. But, whoa. Florence is unleashing on St. George at the moment in the chat. Absolutely. Dragons really F and C. Jeez, Florence, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel. Says Dragons here at the 8. Kind of a ton of each on trust score. Brenton, after last week's performance, I'm probably not going to do that. Papa says, I'll pay them all in one chunk. Screw YouTube over. Yeah, screw YouTube. Now, to be fair, they do provide a good platform here. But 30 minutes to go here at the game, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Rabbitohs won this game. Dragons just haven't been good enough. Lorenzo says, hi, mate. Do you rate Havili as hooker? I think Havili is okay. I think he's suffice as hooker. I think he's solid defensively. I think he's okay on the attack. He doesn't ever get put onto his back. So he's able to get a quick play the ball and whatnot. I don't think he's an incredible hooker, but I think he does the job, and that's why he plays for... He's Tonga as well, yeah? I think he's Tonga. Tyron Munro grabs his ball at the 13. Is it Tonga or is it some? I think it's Tonga. But yeah, Puffin, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get Foz to score a try, and then a separate one will be Panthers to get the upset win over the Raiders. And then the Sunday game, we're going to go with Broncos 20+. Which I think is a little bit dodgy, actually, because I think the Knights might be interesting, especially with the Broncos not having a great deal of attack. Knights' defense is usually a lot better than last week, but they have been giving up a few points recently. Oh, really, Sundo? Panthers are paying like $1.61 raise at $2.33? Why? Why? Fit tackle here at the 38. Why are they such heavy favourites? They just lost the Storm and the Raiders of first position right now. That's interesting. All right, so the Dragons now bring this ball from the 20 to the 30. Damn, okay, you know what? Let's change that then. And that's a penalty here to St. George. Penalty at the 35 at 29 minutes to go here at the game. Let's change that then, Apophis. So we've got 4 to score. We've got 20 plus to the Bronx. And then let's move then into... Let's go into a try score for tomorrow's games, actually. We'll go with... Let's go Xavier Coates 2 tries against the Dogs. Let's go Xavier Coates 2 tries. I want to make it interesting, you know? We'll make it interesting. We'll go Xavier Coates 2 tries. I think he's gone up against Anari Tuala, so you'd expect him to at least have 1. Actually, Storm/Dogs fans, oh my gosh, there's a mistake there from the Dragons. Oh, they call it backwards. No, they will call it knock-on. If you want to change it for the end of this game. No, I'm changing that one. Because Penrith are apparently the favourites. So I want to go away from a guaranteed easy favourite there. That's why I went Broncos, who were favourites, but I've gone with the head start. I've gone with the 20 plus. And Foreign's an underdog. And then, yeah, we'll go with Xavier Coates to score 2 tries tomorrow. Jeez. Oh, it is a penalty for late contact here. They're not going to say knock on. They're going to say penalty for a late hit there from Brent. It is a late hit. So that is a penalty, St. George. They're 33 metres out. Okay, St. George, if you want any chance of coming back in this game, you have to score right now. Dragons now, 24 metres out here from the line, first tackle. Brendan says, I think that's because they're playing out in the country, Raiders-Panthers games. Yeah, Panthers-Raiders games at Mudgee. I love that place, man. I think it was beautiful when I went there, even though we got absolutely slaughtered by Manly in the game we went there. It was a beautiful place to get out to. We got slaughtered. That was Tom Trbojevich's return game in his perfect year of 2021. Dragons now will lose the ball, and it's Rabbitohs ball to 10. Lovely, St. George. You've done good. It's good gear. Seven says Raiders off the bye with Ricky are pretty good as well. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I would have expected the Raiders. Ultimately, I am actually tipping the Raiders. I just think there was a good chance of an upset there in the Panthers, and I'm surprised that the Panthers are actually quite heavy favourites. $1.61 is super heavy for that. Especially considering they just lost to a Storm team that had Munster out of position. They had no Jerome Hughes. They had no Will Warbrick. They had no Nelson Asafa-Solomona. They had no Ryan Papanaz and Little Mama Puppy. And yet the Panthers still lost that game. The Raiders are first position. I don't really understand that thought process there in regards to the underdog status. But maybe the Raiders might be missing someone. Shit, I don't know. So Jai Gray back on the inside. He'll be at the 45 on fit tackle. Jared says, are you sure 20 plus for the Broncos? I don't know, man. That's why I think Broncos win that game. Maybe they don't. Look, the Knights were so bad, though, last week against the Cows, mate. And Dragons get this ball here at the 35, first tackle. The Knights were so bad. And the Broncos did have a good bit about them. They didn't look guaranteed, but it's just the Knights have been so poor. And I know they're playing at McDonald's Jones Stadium, but it's that hasn't been a good hunting ground for them this season either. Yeah, they led 20-0 against the Titans there and lost 24-20. So, look, I think it keeps it interesting. It means that we have to kind of get around the Bronx to keep on scoring when they do score. I do still worry about the fact that they have no real guaranteed halves, but they were able to put 38 points past the Dolphins, who give up a lot of points. The Knights have been giving up a lot of points recently. I don't think it's a guarantee by any means. I think the Knights are a bit tricky, but I will do it. Just keep it interesting. Dragons taking it out to the 35 on fit tackle. Was that 40-0 against Manly? I think it was 38-0, or 36 or 38-0 when Tom Trbojevic absolutely tore us apart. And Dragons put it up, knock on. So Rabbitohs will be 0 tackle coming off their own 5. Oh, there was a knock on there, but sure. So 0 tackle for the Rabbitohs at the 11. B. Lloyd, I'm tipping Panthers. I can't see them losing 2 games in a row. Yeah, I agree, but they're going up against really difficult opposition. I'm happy with the Panthers tip. I think they could win. I just thought they were underdogs. I thought they would be guaranteed underdogs. Maybe the bookies are people are completely off the Raiders right now, which I would be wondering why. Yeah, sure, they lost to the Dragons, but that one loss shouldn't completely change your opinion about the first place team. They still are a very tough team. Rabbitohs now right-hand side. They go quickly. What was that defense there from Christian Tuipulotu? His eye task off the Tyrone Munro. He's going to kick this ball back onto the inside. He's going to kick it around, and Dragons get the ball here over the side. No, they don't go over the sideline. They'll be 15 metres out. Rumour has it Montoya is now in tomorrow night. Glad he recovered from his circumcision. Dude, that was the funniest post from Dan Gorringe, and they actually spoke about it. Marcelo Montoya and his wife have a podcast. And it was so funny them talking about it. I saw it today. All right, so it's going to be third tackle now for the Dragons, and they're going to be at the 20. The lighting? Yeah, the lighting's still good. Sorry, it's night time here now. It's getting to night, so I'm glad the lighting's still good. Fourth tackle here at the 30. Old Boys Day in Newey this weekend. Don't know if they will show up for it, though. Yeah, I've seen plenty of Old Boys Days go completely astray, though. But Old Boys Day usually gets players up and at them. But I have seen plenty of them go the opposite way. I've seen plenty of Titans Old Boys Days go astray. Actually, I think we have an Old Boys Day this week as well. I think the Titans game this week against the Warriors is Old Boys. So Rabbitohs now at the 25. Jared Troy's, oh, that's right. Remember, is it his wife or sister? I think it's his wife, isn't it? I originally thought, I didn't know, but I'm pretty certain it actually is his wife. Can someone confirm? That's such an awkward conversation we're having right now, whether someone's their wife or their sister. That is such an awkward conversation. I'm pretty certain it's his wife. And I hope so, because otherwise it's such a weird thing to say. I'm pretty certain it is. Fourth tackle. It just says definitely his wife. Okay, good. Good, I was right. Yes, that's his wife. It's such an awkward thing to even have to think about, because Brenton said, is it his wife or sister? I was pretty certain it's his wife, but what a weird thing to even have to think about. Fifth tackle. And now they'll kick this one down to the 15. Rabbitohs knock it back. Alex Johnston. That's played at by the Dragons, and they're going to knock this ball on. So it's going to be Rabbitohs ball at 20. Or if it's his sister. I don't think it is. I'm pretty certain it's his wife. I'm pretty certain. So Rabbitohs, here's your chance for Alex Johnston. Come on. Let's bring it back within one try. Yo, get around your son. Tasman says, I don't think he'd be talking about if he's circumcised with his sister. Nah, bullshit. I don't think that proves anything. It's a podcast. They're obviously going to want to talk about crazy things like that. I don't think that proves anything, but I'm pretty certain it's his wife. Jossie Pass says, was not expecting this game to be so one-sided. I thought the Dragons would win this quite well, but they've obviously just been crushed from last week, and they've got nothing to play for, whilst the Rabbitohs, have just been able to really fire up from the momentum over the last couple of weeks. But Rabbitohs now, Tallis Duncan, he's going to get this ball to the 15. Please, Tallis, if you get the ball in a good position, please give Alex Johnston a try. It's all we're asking for. It's what we're pleading for. We're begging, Tallis. We're begging. Second tackle, 8 metres out. Alphonse getting around Alex Johnston from Papua New Guinea. And Rabbitohs here. They're 3 metres out, third tackle. Come on. Left-hand side, Rabbits. Left-hand side. Left-hand side. Jamie Humphries looking out to the left. And they'll give it to... Oh, my gosh, that was a bad pass. And Ashton Ward has to cut back to the right. Just take the tackle, man. Just please take the tackle. Just take the tackle, Ashton. Yep. And 10 metres out, fourth tackle. Come on. They go left-hand side. Here we go. Here's a chance. Cody Walker kicks it through. Alex Johnson picks it up, but it's going to be 6 again here for the Rabbitohs. They're 10 metres out. Okay, another opportunity. Come on. Come on, AJ. Come on, AJ. That wasn't a... Yeah, they're really trying to open up the left-hand side. You can tell that they're just trying to force it down this edge now to get this try. And you'd understand. We're all hoping for it too, but the Dragons obviously know it themselves. And Mamazella's short ball is Sean Kepi, and Kepi's going to be 3 metres out, third tackle. And now Mamazella's, here we go, open it up, Ashton Ward. Here's Cody Walker, left-hand side, Tallis Duncan didn't pass the ball, oh my gosh. The catch and pass was a try, and Jai Gray might score anyway. No, it's going to be a dropout. Tallis Duncan actually had an opportunity for Alex Johnson to score there. Catch and pass would have been a try. Big Lloyd, there's rumours say the feeder could be heading south. Yeah, I spoke about this about 3 weeks ago on the channel. Sean James says you would hope so because it would make family dinners a bit different. So drop out coming up here from the Dragons to the Rabbitohs. 20 minutes to go here of the game. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and do not forget this is the place you want to be tomorrow. It's going to be a belter day of rugby league as we see the Panthers play host to the Raiders at Mudgee. 5th versus 1st. And then we also see the Melbourne Storm take on the Canterbury Bulldogs for the first time this season. We have not watched those two teams play against each other this year. Josie Parts Tallis wants the record for himself. And if he scores, he's doing the right thing. It's just so frustrating because you've already scored tonight, mate. Please get the ball to Johnson. Oh, and then we've got Lachlan Hubbard knocking the ball on. So now the Rabbitohs won't get an attacking opportunity. Duncan is going to get executed if Johnson doesn't overtake it. Well, Johnson will overtake it. It's just about whether it's this year or next year. Johnny passes far. What a day rugby league, my mate. Massive day rugby league. Massive. Huge. You cannot ask for anything more than that. Because it's like, we've all been talking about how it's a top 4 battle, all the top 4 teams. The Panthers aren't actually in the top 4. The Warriors take on their bogey side of the Titans on Saturday, who they lost to a month ago, which actually ultimately knocked them out of the top 4. So the Dragons here at the 25, now second tackle at the 30. If you were to skip one of tomorrow's games, which would it be? Probably Panthers Raiders, on the basis that we haven't seen the Storm Bulldogs yet, and I want to see how the Bulldogs play against Melbourne. Because I'm pretty certain, Daz, you can confirm this, and please give us the actual statistic. I'm pretty certain the Bulldogs have a good record against Melbourne, like in their history. But please actually be honest with this one, Daz. I don't want to see the banter. I want you to actually be honest. I'm pretty certain the Bulldogs have a good record against Melbourne, no? Gutho here at the 45, fourth tackle. They give it out to Emre Gula, and Gula loses the ball. Rabbitohs get the ball at the 45. Case says nail biter of a game. Well, that's a knock on there from the Rabbitohs. So it's actually going to be Dragons ball now. It was a drop ball from Dragons backwards, but the Rabbitohs will knock the ball on forwards. And 0 tackle for the Dragons at the 40. Dom says, my stream was somehow 3 minutes behind. Well, yeah, welcome to Sean James' life there in Thailand. He's usually about 3 hours behind. Not as far behind as that other bloke from about a couple of months ago. We had to item in the end, I think. I can't remember his name, but he was about 7 years behind the stream always, asking us questions that we were talking about in yesterday's stream nearly. So second tackle here at the 20. And the Dragons, Damien Cook out to King Tugia. Gutherson, forward pass, Silada. Says Surf Rider, thank you, Brenton. Thank you, sir. Warriors will win against the Titans this time, Emmanuel says. Well, that's great, and, it should happen. And, look, as a Titans fan, I fully expect it, mate. But also facts are facts, and the Warriors have won, one time in the last 5-6 years against the Titans, and they haven't beaten the Titans in New Zealand since, 2017, 2018. And that's a crazy stat, considering the Titans this year are last. The last 3 years have been fourth last. Yeah, 2021, sure, we made the top 8 and came 8th, but I think we lost one of the games that year to the Warriors. I think the first game of the season at Central Coast, I think it was at Gosford when the Warriors were still playing their home games out of Gosford. In 2020, I can't really remember, but again, there's no surprises. The Warriors should be winning that game, but they just simply don't play well against the Titans. And again, the Titans came fourth last year, and they beat the Warriors 66-6. The week after, or 2 weeks after, they had a bye in between, but 2 weeks after they lost to the Tigers, who came last, down at Campbelltown 18-10, and were awful. So 2 weeks later, the Titans seemingly found everything and won 66-6 when they were awful. So that's kind of where the why it's so difficult always tipping the Warriors against the Titans. Have the left-hand side here, they kick it to the corner. Where's the bounce going to go? Where's the bounce going to go? Gutho will get it, and Talis Duncan dives over the top of him, and Gutho will be taking it out the 5 first tackle. So you, Emmanuel, as a Warriors fan, I'm sure you can understand. Yeah, but it's not about even players coming back this week too. At the end of the day, even when you had your really good season in 2023, the Warriors still struggled to put away the Titans, with the Titans having a send-off for 60 minutes of that game. Moika Fotuaika got sent off in the 20th minute. Sent off, not sin-bin, sent off for the rest of the game. So the Titans are 13-12 for the last 60 minutes. It was a 12-point game after 50 minutes, Warriors way. I think it was 18-6 Warriors after 50 minutes of the game. So 30 minutes after the send-off, and then the Titans came back to make it 18-18. Yeah, fell away in the last 5 minutes or so when the Warriors got tired, but you can understand why people question it. You can understand it, because if the Warriors are playing a bottom 4 team this week outside of the Titans, you'd be like, okay, surely the Warriors win this game with ease. But against the Titans, for some reason, there's just something about them that they just don't like playing, and it's really odd, because from 2000, ever since the Titans beat the Warriors and knocked them out in 2010 in the first week of the finals, ever since that moment, the Warriors for 10 years straight would just always beat the Titans. It was the Titans bogey team. No matter how good or bad either team was, the Warriors would always beat the Titans in the 2010s. But the opposite is now. So it's really an odd thing, but it's a thing that does need to be spoken about. Jai Gray now will be taken down to the 30 on the Dragons side of the field, 4th tackle. Okay, says some people disagree. Oh, Rabbitohs here, left-hand side. They will score a try. Peter Mumlazelis is going to score out of the post. Really nicely run play there from South Sydney. And Dragons, your season is now mathematically done. Mathematically, you are done. Justin Sanders said this is a game. This is definitely a game. Yeah, no, this is definitely a game. Not a great game, but a good game for the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs have played well here today. Dragons, statistically, at half-time, were actually within range, even though it was 16-0. But the Rabbitohs have just been good today. They actually have been genuinely good. Like, if you go and have a look at their completion rate, let's go through some of these stats. Completion rate is 93%. They're 31 from 33. That's absolutely spectacular. You know, they've had 1,612 run meters from 167 runs, 168 runs, 116. You know, that's literally like 14 meters off of, I don't know if it's 14 meters. No, it's over 10 meters on run, average. Like, they're getting a brilliant amount of meters with the ball. Post-contact meters is 545. It's stellar. You know, line breaks, they've got 4. Their defense, they've only given up 12 missed tackles, which is spectacular. Their average set distance is basically 50. Play the ball speed is very slow. Kit feels 80%, but their defense is at 92.97%. Funnily enough, the Dragons are at 95.24%, but they've had to make 70 more tackles than the Rabbitohs today. But it comes down to their errors. It comes down to the Dragons have had 11 errors here today, and that's their problem. Yeah, sure, that's under what an average probably is going to be, or it's probably around the average right now, and there's still 15 minutes to go here. But the Rabbitohs have actually played pretty good. Only 4 errors. Yeah, they've given away 5 penalties, but they've just been the better team here today. You know, I know people are going to look at the ladder positions, but the Rabbitohs have simply been good. Emmanuel says they have been a bogey team against the Warriors. I feel the team are coming out to prove something this week. They have a lot to make up for. Sure, Emmanuel. Again, I don't disagree, and you'd hope so. You'd hope that the Warriors win this game and win this game by 13 plus, which is what we expected from them about 4 weeks ago. But at the end of the day, it's super difficult to kind of get a read on what the Warriors do, because the Warriors are a very up and down team. They are a yo-yo team. They are a very much yo-yo team, and they have been for their entire existence. Besides maybe 2011, where they obviously got to the grand final, and I think 2001 when they got to the grand final against the Chooks, and then 2011 against Manly. They are a yo-yo team. So there's again, the Warriors should win that game and win that game well, but the last time they played at Seabus was a 66-6 to win to the Gold Coast Titans. They absolutely demolished them. The Titans had never hit 50 points before in their entire history, and then scored 60. Kate says, I'd love to see the Warriors go far, but in all honesty, they got no chance this year, no matter where they finish in the 8. I agree. I don't think the Warriors win the comp this year, but I would love to see them do well. But you've got to be silly You've got to be silly to be guaranteeing 100%, life savings on the Warriors this week. Not because of anything to do with the fact that I'm a Titans fan, just based off of the statistics of the history of these two teams playing. Michael says, Dragons, what's happening? Well, they're not happening. They're not happening here. Not much happening here, Michael. Not much happening here. A lot of happening to do, but not much happening today. 4th tackle, now the Rabbitohs, they get away. It's 3rd tackle. Now Jamie Humphries, 4th tackle at the 50. As Society says, if Dogs win tomorrow, they immediately get off fraud alert. Yes. Yes, I would say so. Yeah, against the Storm, for sure. 100%. Dom says 7 tries in 15 minutes, lads. Go get him. 7 tries in 15 minutes? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. I need 5 tries. Where's 7? 7? 6 points, try. 7 try, 15 minutes. Dom, are we mathing here? What are we mathing? Chelsea Pat says, good game for the Bunnies to prepare for next season. Good game for the Bunnies, sure. Yeah, I'll give it to you, but we've still got 2 weeks left of this. That's 6 months away. But sure, I'll give it to you. 4th tackle here at the 35. We're already talking about next season. Johnny passes that one fella on Instagram about to have a field day with this one. Oh, yeah, JC, he'll rip into the Dragons here, but I'm sure he'll rip into Belinda Sharp for the forward pass call for Alex Johnson's try, and I'm sure that he'll rip into the no sin bin for Ashen Ward, even though the Rabbitohs just have been the better team here today regardless. That sin bin is actually quite crucial, though, because the Dragons could have scored there and then brought the game within 12 points. Within 10 points, actually, because it was 16-0. If the Rabbitohs get their bin, Dragons score there, which they would have if they were just allowed to play out to the left-hand side, or if there was a bin, you would assume they would have. The point of the matter is that was quite crucial, but either way, the Rabbitohs have been quite clearly the better team here today. And Ashen Ward, he'll get this ball to the 48 on 3rd tackle. Dasman says, if we win tomorrow, we go from Scam to Dynasty Watch. You aren't on Scam, Daz. I don't know why you're begging your own team to go on Scam. Jai Gray to the 35. Be 4th tackle. Come on, Rabbitohs. 1 more try for Johnson. That's all we're asking for. Brandon Smith, here we go. There might be some space. No, it'll be taken out the 25. Fit tackle. 10 minutes to go to the game, guys. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And do not forget to go and go and check out the Big Brother audition tape on the Big Brother channel on the pinned comment. But also, that's a drop back from the Dragons. So it's going to be first tackle with them at the 5. But also, tomorrow, huge day. We'll be here for both games. We are on scam. What are you talking about? You're not on scam, Daz, mate. You're not on scam. I know it's difficult. I know New South Wales Education really makes it difficult to read. That's saying fraud alert. I know New South Wales Education, you do say hashtag 1 in a row, which you're not on right now. You're currently on 0 in a row. But I know it's difficult, Daz, but I'm going to need you to hone in here. I'm going to need you to hone in on the word fraud, which is short for fraudulent, if you aren't aware, and alert, which is short for alert, if you aren't aware. So 4 tackle now for the Dragons at their own 20, 10 minutes to go. Dom says, math is definitely not mathing. It's not really mathing here. Not really mathing. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 20. Oh, you're going with the 4 points. You're not even going with the conversions. Yeah, you're a muppet. You're a muppet. You know, at least we'll help you out here, mate, though. You know, we'll help you out. Okay, so who you got tomorrow for the Panthers game? I thought the Panthers would be underdogs. They're apparently favourites. I did actually want to go to the Panthers beforehand. John Tipu says, totally agree. I honestly believe that no NRL team ever wants to lose to a New Zealand-based franchise. It is what it is. We have to lift our game. What are you agreeing with? I'm aware you're talking about the Warriors, but I believe that no NRL team ever wants to lose to a New Zealand-based franchise. Sure, but what are you specifically agreeing with that I said? So third tackle at the 45, Kolomatangi to Jai Gray. Jai Gray then to Alex Johnson. Then to Tallis Duncan, who runs this ball back to the other side of the field at the 40. Short ball here. Good run. Rabbitohs are away here. Rabbitohs are away here. Rabbitohs will score a try. 32-0 with a kick to come. 32-0 with a kick to come, and the Rabbitohs are putting the sword past them. And that's the first try in his NRL career. That is the first try in a bloke's NRL career. Thomas Fletcher with the try time scores underneath the post. And St. George, you've just been outclassed today. You've just been outclassed. South Sydney, you have guaranteed avoided the spoon. And St. George, you have mathematically guaranteed yourself a purgatory this year. Seb Watson says, Trell, White and Ravalawa all back week 27. Good to see with Trell because Trell, I don't know if Ravalawa gets back into the team straight away, but good to see with Trell because Trell will pass the ball to Johnston. So Sai says, if Tallis Duncan passed, AJ would already break the record last week and didn't pass as well. Correct, but realistically, Alex Johnson shouldn't even have a try today because it was a forward pass to him. But it's fine. You know, again, it's not really that meaningful of a game. 7:42 to go, 32-0. There's a chance of Fitty Bomb. I don't think they're going to get 3 tries in 7.5 minutes, but there is technically a chance. Kate says they are. Panthers are $1.61, rated to $2.30, something I believe. I think that's great value for Canberra. That's great value. Again, I'm probably going to lean with tipping the Panthers. I think they probably bounce back from last week, but you know the Raiders off a bye. They're first place for a reason. I definitely think that Canberra are being underestimated completely there. Okay, it's starting to rain now. Sean James is 32-0 and they couldn't let him break the record. Yep. Again, Tallis Duncan, he's not used to obviously passing the ball because the one pass he's made to Johnson was forward. That wasn't called. And there we go. Slapped it on through. So 34-0 with 7 minutes and 12 seconds to go here of the game. Roosters are $2.92 versus Storm next week. Yeah, but I've got the Storm to win that game. Especially if the Storm lost tomorrow, I've got them to beat the Roosters. If the Storm win tomorrow, it completely depends on that Raiders result. If the Panthers can get up over the Raiders, the Storm with a win over the Bulldogs will actually go into first, and then they'll be really playing with that minor premiership. The worst thing possible for the Broncos, actually, is the Storm. For the Raiders, Broncos fans, you have to be Raiders fans for the rest of this season because you would really like the Storm to rest players in round 27, and I just don't think it's anywhere near possible right now with the Storm fighting for a minor premiership and also fighting for a home final in week 1 over the Bulldogs. So you should be big fans of honestly the Raiders and the Dogs to you want the Raiders to win and Oh, geez, no. Realistically, they're still going to be in the hunt either for a top 2 spot or a minor premiership. So you're going to be shit out of luck in regards to the Storm resting players in round 27. So third tackle now for the Rabbitohs. They'll beat the 35. 6.5 minutes to go. Are we forgetting this is the same Panthers that lost 5 in a row this year? Correct, but a very different team now than that. Fourth tackle at the halfway point. I did tell you guys, though, that people would lose a lot of faith in the Panthers throughout this 3-game period. I've been telling you for about 2.5 months. 2.5 months. I kept saying, like, I don't care about the stretch of games that they've got right now. I care about those 3 games. So tomorrow will tell me a significant amount about Humphries kicks his ball over the sideline at 15. Tomorrow will tell me a significant amount because about a month ago, I said they've got the 3 games against the Storm and then the Raiders and then the Panthers. The Storm, the Raiders, and the Bulldogs. If they win all 3 of those games, I've got them to win the premiership. If they win 2 out of 3 of those games, then they're a genuine contender for the premiership. If they win 1 of those games, then I'll think that, oh, look, I'm a bit hesitant, but at least they won 1 of the 3. But if they don't win any of those games, then they're a fraudulent pretender. They'd be a fraudulent pretender in the competition. So for me, I just need to see them. If they can win these next 2 games, brilliant. If they only win 1 of them, then I'll be like, a little bit hesitant. But they're both games that they have a good chance to win. It's just the Raiders are in. They lost to a Storm team last week at home, Combank, at home, with a whole bunch of players out for the Storm and also players out of position. Third tackle out to 40. Shotzi Pass says just need Panthers to stay out of the top 4. I personally think they will be out of the top 4. Fourth tackle now to 45. Currently, with their bye, I'm pretty certain the Sharks are in the top 4. They are. Currently, the Sharks are actually 4th, which is quite funny. So fifth tackle now for the Dragons, and they will be at the 42. People keep talking about the Warriors. People keep talking about the Panthers. Some people talk about the Broncos. Nobody's talking about the Sharks. The Sharks are currently in the top 4. Jai Gray is at the 15. And if there's ever a team to, win against and play yourself into form, it's the Titans. They absolutely played themselves into form with 50 points there. But obviously it was just against the Titans, and they were a bit complacent in the last 10, 20 minutes, which is a very Sharks thing to do. But yeah, like the Sharks could have easily played themselves into the form again. Tyrone Munro's away here. The 30, the 40, the 45, the 50. Oh, he's going to try and step around him. He will step around him. That's awful. Good try there for Tyrone Munro, which should bring up the 40. The friggin' 40. Tyrone Munro with a nice try there. Just steps around. I think it might have been Gutho. Was it Gutho? Was that Gutho that he stepped around? Because that was pretty poor defense from Gutho. But Munro, nice footwork. And now the 50 bob's still on. 2 tries in 4 minutes, potentially. But this is nice here. They just, Munro with a little bit of footwork there, gets away from a couple, and then he's at the halfway point. The only person who's got to get to him is Gutho, and Gutho gets done over big time. The speed of Munro is just too good there. And 38 now with the kick to come. Dragons have been absolutely wiped the floor with today. Someone says Sharks fourth is crazy. I said about 3 weeks ago, mate, the Sharks were a hot shot. This was before the Dragons game. The Dragons game kind of brought me back down and said maybe the Sharks don't make it now. But if the Titans beat the Warriors on Saturday, and if the Raiders beat the Panthers, I think the Broncos would actually still go into 4th position because of their points differential. Yeah, they would be on plus 114, Sharks plus 67. So the Broncos would, funnily enough, be in the top 4 if the Warriors and Panthers both lost. But the Sharks draw is a lot better than... the Sharks do play the Bulldogs in round 27. And then they play the Knights in round 26. So they should be guaranteed for a win there. Broncos play the Cowboys, but the Broncos play the Storm. So I don't know if the Sharks beat the Dogs. That'll be a good test from the... Good test from B-Loys. The Sharks will probably lose first week of the finals like they always do. Sure, but, and Bulldogs fans will hate me saying this, Bulldogs have given a very similar vibe about them recently. They've given a very similar vibe that they could be on a similar trajectory to what the Sharks have done over the recent years, where they've been very good in the regular season and then finals might have a bit of a hiccup. Jai is on 327 run meters. That's insane, Brenton. And Ashton Ward will make the kicks, but it's 40-0. Friggin' 40. Slap past the Dragons here. 3 minutes to go. Don't think the 50 bomb is coming up for the Rabbitohs, but at least we saw 1 try for Alex Johnson tonight, but he will need 3 tries against the Sydney Roosters to break the record. 2 tries are tight. Sundo says, I've said 3 weeks ago the Roosters will be in the 8. That's great, Sundo, and valid, but you are a Roosters fan, so it's like, what else are you going to say? You know, if you are a fan of the team and you're going against the grain or you're backing something in, it's very difficult to kind of take it without bias at first glance. Like, obviously, it's potentially a good call. They still haven't made the 8 just yet. And they've got a really tough game against Melbourne, I think, next week. But it's a good call right now. But at the end of the day, you are also a Roosters fan. So, of course, we're going to see that as, you're backing your team in. Dom says, sign me up, Dragons. I'd be even with your top try scorer tonight. So, second tackle now for the Rabbitohs at the 15. Beatles, Bulldogs could drop out first week of finals again. No, they're not dropping out first week of finals. No matter what, they're in the top 4. They're guaranteed top 3. Realistically, they're guaranteed top 3. So, they would still have 2 games in the finals regardless. No bias, just like Sunderland will make the Champions League. There we go. That's the one. I knew it was coming. That's the one. G was still offside though, Sunder. G was still offside. So I do think that bankruptcy is an option. So fifth tackle now for the Rabbitohs. And they will dink the ball over the top here. Mamazelis, look at the defense here from the Dragons. What is that? And they'll get taken down to the 10 here. But that was pathetic from the Dragons to not immediately make a play at that kick. But either way, King Tonga comes across and saves a try. Desmond says, we are on a 10-year finals win drought. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true. But then again, they didn't make it. The finals after... Did they make the finals in 2015 after the... Obviously, they were in the grand final 2014, and then last year they made the finals and lost to Manly. Have they played in the finals outside of last year? Did they play in the finals after 2014? Josie says Tigers to make the top 8. Josie, it's not happening. Josie, I will literally, if the Tigers make the top 8 in 2025, I will do a live stream naked. How about that? There is no chance the Tigers can make the top 8. Look at their points differential. The Dolphins and Manly both play each other this week. One of them will still be above them. The Roosters play the Eels. The Roosters win that game. It's done. It's gone. Stop selling yourself a lie. It's done. It's a good season, regardless, for the Tigers. It's good. But the Tigers can't make it the 8. Why do people never know? Now they're 100% making it. Fuck me. Josie, Tigers are done. It's been a great season for them. Just appreciate the rise of West Tigers out of Spoonville and out of the bottom 4. But there is literally 0% chance that they are making the top 8 this year. 0%. 0%. Edward says he must commentate. Mate, there's 23 seconds to go here in the game. 23 seconds to go here, and it's 14-0 to the Rabbitohs. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say here, Edward? Do you want me to just give you a writhing speech about how the Dragons performed today? Philip says, Dragons, please. What a hell. That's been a common comment today. Someone says, Dragons have taken a metaphorical shit on my screen, grabbing my KO Sports subscription money and saying, thank you, come again. Yep, welcome. Welcome. Edward says, you must commentate. Hey, Edward, I'm going to let you know something here. I do what I want. That's the thing. I do what I want here. And what I want to do is turn this off and wait for tomorrow, because this game was not great. The Rabbitohs absolutely slap at 40-0. That's a big win. As a... what else? What, Edward? Yeah, what else, Edward? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Edward, if I don't commentate? The game's over, by the way. Do you want me to commentate as I finish this stream? I have a drink and maybe watch some Instagram reels or something like that. Might go grab myself... I'll commentate myself as I go and get some pork and rice here in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. How about that one? Should I do that one? Maybe. But yeah, chuck the duck eggs in the chat. Chuck the duck eggs in the chat. It is a little pa. It is a... Lil Bois for the Dragons. The final score, 40-0 Rabbitohs. Sticky says, useless performance by St. George. Yeah, it did end up being that way, mate. It did end up being that way. Dragons just not good enough. Just simply not good enough. Josie Pass is definitely a Thursday night game. Well, last week's Thursday night game was incredible. That was the Panthers and Storm game. That was a really fun game to watch. Brandon says, Edward, you must leave. What was Jai's total run meters? We'll give a look. Total run meters for Jai... Oh, it was Jai Gray. So, are you talking about Jai Gray, yeah? Yeah, Jai Gray ended up with 357 run meters. 31 runs for 357 run meters. That is incredible. He had 84 post-contact, 3 tackle breaks, and didn't have to make a tackle at all, actually. That's how bad the Dragons were attacking-wise. Didn't even have to make a tackle as a fullback. But yeah, 357 run meters for Jai Gray is incredible. Even Tallis Duncan, he had 21 runs for 219 meters. He had 90 post contact with 1 line break, 3 line break assists, 1 try assist, 3 tackle breaks, and also had 14 tackles made for no miss. Tallis Duncan's man of the match. Tallis Duncan has to be man of the match with those stats. Absolutely. Absolutely, Tallis Duncan has been man of the match there. I know Jai Gray has got some good stats there too, but for like Jai Gray, a lot of those also will come from him running the ball out the back. Tallis Duncan, as a pure centre, 219 is top notch with a line break, 3 line break assists, a try assist, and also 3 tackle breaks with no missed tackles with 14. That's really good stuff. Edward says, sorry, I salute you. I always watch your channel. Thanks, bro. Edward, you're all good, bro. You know it's all banter, mate. You know it's all banter. You do your thing, man. SB, don't worry. If you watch your channel all the time, you understand. It's all good. Ez says, Dragons keep getting shit on. When will we win a game? Well, you won 2 games in the last 3 weeks, which was against the Sharks and the Raiders. But unfortunately, this isn't the season for the Dragons. It just wasn't good enough, unfortunately. And yeah, you know, the Rabbitohs had a good game tonight. The Rabbitohs did have a good game. But guys, I'm going to jump off here for now. Obviously, final score, Rabbitohs 14-0. We will see you tomorrow for an absolute massive whopper of a day between the Panthers, who are in 5th position, fighting for a top 4 spot, and the Raiders, who are in 1st position, fighting to keep on top of the table. Because if they lose and the Storm win, then the Raiders will go into 2nd and the Storm will go into 1st. So that's the first game. Panthers, Raiders, Belter. Obviously, the next game is going to be a bit of a fizzler. You're wrong. It's going to be the 2nd place Melbourne Storm up against the 3rd place Canterbury Bulldogs for the first time this season. We have a huge Dave Rugby League tomorrow, so we will see you guys there. You get ready for that. Well, you need to be ready because it is going to be an absolute whomper stomper. But alright guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.